in the SEC Conference. We're going to build the best football program in the SEC Conference.
You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
The kick, it's been blocked again! How about it? It's been blocked again! It's going to heat one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone! It's a touchdown! And the Gators have won the game! Tyreek Cleveland! How about it? I can't believe what I just saw! Dropping back to throw. Thompson fires the ball over the middle. It's Dory! It's Dory! Got a touchdown! Dory's got a touchdown! Oh, man! Dory's got a touchdown! Ahmad Black, in his final game as a Gator, takes it all the way home and sends Urban out the winner.
You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium and Gale. It's your boy Corey.
It's Dan.
And Delatorre.
Same corner, same time, man. We back at it. Special show, big show on the way today. Urban Meyer. I got a few dropped out, but still should be a very big show. Ahmad Black should be pulling up here in a minute. I need to refocus my lens. It's a little blurry, man. But how y'all boys doing? How's the weekend?
Looks like your lens has been enjoying some vices. Is what your lens looks like. Weekend was good. We're back in the cut, back in the swing of things with football. So it's work. We have 3 days off, 3 Sundays off until Florida, Miami. I'm pumped for that game. I think it's a huge game.
Here we go.
Big implications with Florida. But yeah, we're back in the cut. We're back doing football every day. Spreading the good word.
Spreading the good word.
8:31, man. Miami, Florida. Should be. Both camps are going. The lies are flowing on Twitter and every other app. It's about that time. Dan, how was your weekend?
Good, man. It was good. Been dealing with this tropical storm hurricane for the better part of the last 48 hours. But other than that, things are going well. Got to play a quick round of golf before everything started to pick up on Saturday. So that's always a good way to spend the weekend. But episode 300, boys, it's been an exciting couple of years, man. It's hard to believe this is number 300. We've been doing this 5 years, every week, every Monday, except for one. That was 2 weeks ago. But it's kind of hard to believe that with all the other pop-ups and everything else we've done, we made it to 300, which is incredible.
Yeah, man. Longevity.
I feel a little fraudulent because I haven't been here for all 300.
Nope.
It's okay. You was here in spirit, man. You was here early on as you saw most of the 300 regardless, right?
Yeah, I was on episode 1 too.
Yeah.
You're up at episode 1. I think you are our most featured guest. So it kind of made sense when we had to do the transition that you would be the first person that we would ask. And I like to think that you've been a very welcome addition, right? You don't have any playing experience. You don't have a lot of really great stories about that, but that's okay. You fill in other gaps. We never talked about baseball on the show before you, Nick. So
right.
I'm glad that you're here.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's been quite a ride. We started this thing with Ahmad Black, me, Dan, Ahmad, and as Ahmad got other things that he wanted to get into, he's doing some coaching stuff and other things family-wise, has a young family. We transitioned over to Nick, but it's been, teamwork made the dream work. We all contribute in different ways, but I love this show. I look forward to this show absolutely every Monday. Rain, sleet, or snow, in all kinds of weather, bruh. I'm down to pull up and let's talk about it. Good football, bad football. If we can count to 11, if we can't count to 11, we just down to pull up and kick it in and have a good time and provide the audience with, a different perspective. Like, we're not gonna come on here and handle it like a lot of other shows. No shots at anybody. We just probably a little different around here. The vibes is a little bit different, and we like to provide that for our audience, man. But this is show 300, and I'm ready.
We just added Tate Casey to the lineup, so he'll be on a little bit later today. But I think, Corey, when you and I, were talking about this, 5.25 years ago, we kind of talked about what we wanted to be, right? There's lanes for everybody. There's lanes for a lot of different podcasts. And I think based on the fact that we have to get guests on, during the season from other schools, the Gators have it amongst the best in terms of the quality and quantity of podcasters that are out there. So want to give everybody that's watching and has supported us, have bought from our sponsors, have liked and shared, have commented about, a variety of things, whether it's pumping us up or telling me that I need to shave my hair and anything in between. Right. So
hair's looking great today, by the way, Dan. Hair's looking immaculate.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So long story short, man, when we talked about this show 5.25 years ago, we wanted it to be three guys that had unique and different perspectives. Corey, you played college ball, obviously a big fan. Ahmad played at UF. And I worked for the team, and, we kind of all had different voices, different experiences. And what would it be like if three Gator fans were to go to the bar and talk educated about, the Florida Gators? And, I think looking back 5 years ago, we've had two head coaches. Since then, we've had a variety of ups and downs that have happened during that time. But the one thing that stayed constant, and one thing that I love is every Monday, whether it's been over the phone when we first started going until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, whether it's been in the morning on the live shows or whether it's back in the afternoon or early evening for these shows, or some of the pop-up guests, has really truly been one of the really cool things that has happened. And most podcasts don't make it this far. And so we appreciate everybody that watches and listens. It's been a hell of a ride, and the access and the interviews has been really, really cool.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Like the lineup has been crazy as well. We've had from Urban Meyer before he's coming back on today, but we've had actually Billy Napier on here. Tons of just legendary games.
He's done too.
Yep.
Yeah, only podcast, man. So we're in a different echelon of access and also content we provided. I just love what I do, man. I love what we do. I love what we provide. Excited to have this show. And also when we started this show too, one of the sponsors that we brought on was Brunt Insurance and Financial Services. Shout out to my guy Greg. He's held us down in a lot of different facets when it pertains to me doing podcasts, whether it was Roll Up, whether it was Stadium and Gale, or any other events that we've had. He pulled up, sponsored with us, supported us, and he's back with Stadium and Gale as our title sponsor. It's hurricane season, so if you're not insured, you're probably screwed at this point, right? It's hard to get insurance, but my guy Greg is going to insure everything you got, from boats, homes, cars, auto, life insurance. You provide that as well. But make sure, like during hurricane season, make sure you're safe, make sure everybody's safe, but also cut back trees, secure locks, make sure your property is all taken care of, make sure you're insured if you can. If you don't have that insured, give my guy Greg a call at 954-589-2204. He handles anything from the Panhandle to the Keys. Big Florida guy. And that's Brunt Insurance and Financial Services, man. Back in the fold with Stadium and Gale.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Greg, what it do, baby?
Greg, what it do?
What it do? So again, on today's show, we're going to welcome Ahmad Black back on for the first time since he left the show. So we really appreciate him coming back on. Urban Meyer is going to join us. Jacquez Green is going to join us. Tate Casey is going to join us. But for those of you that haven't listened to the show for very long, or maybe missed when we were just doing the podcasts, I encourage you to go back and listen. We've had a lot of great Gator guests on. So looking back at our time here, I just want to run through a list of names of people that you guys can go check out their interviews. So bear with me. It's kind of an exhaustive list. We're not going to name everybody, but I think it's very worthwhile. I think the Chris Rainey interview is absolutely one that's very important to go listen to.
That's my favorite, man.
Sat down with us for about 50 minutes, just about his life and his experience, and what it was like growing up in the situation that he did and the obstacles that he was able to overcome. And beyond that, what he now does for his daughter because of the way that he grew up. So one of the best interviews we've ever done. Encourage you guys to listen to that one. From an Olympics perspective, Grant Holloway's been on. We've had D Webb, Major Wright, Shannon Snell, Tony George, Danny Werfel, Sharif Floyd, Dallas Baker, Channing Crowder, Keywan Ratliff, James Bates, Riedel Anthony, Ben Troop, Brandon James, Matt Elam, Taylor Jacobs during the FSU week, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
Eric,
All times.
multiple times. Eric Wilbur, Lito Shepard, Keyston Moore, Fred Weary, Shane Matthews, Stacy Nelson, Tony McQuay, Judd Davis, Rand Carthon. Shout out to him. He was an assistant GM with the 49ers at the time, now with the Tennessee Titans. Carlos Alvarez, Chad Jackson, Kevin Carter, Jelani Jenkins. The list goes on. Lawrence Wright, Earl Everett, Lewis Murphy, Jarvis Herring.
Trinity
And a lot of
Thomas.
those. Say what?
Keep flexing.
Trinity
go ahead.
Thomas.
Yeah. We've had Amanda O'Leary, Becky Burley, Torian Gray, Tim Walton, almost slipped up there, Mike Holloway, Jenny Rowland, the entire athletic department staff that's still there, JC Deacon. So we've had a hell of a 5-year run. And that 5-year run started because of one of the Gator goats, Ahmad Black. Started the show with us. A lot of those early.
Wow, baby, what it do?
Yeah.
What up, 3
Ahmad, welcome.
5?
What's going on? What's going on?
Man,
It's
vibes,
good to have
man. Vibes, man. Hey, first of all, man, thanks for starting this with us, man. I know you had to transition and do some other things in life. Let me cut this ring off, man. Like it's my first podcast or something. But thanks for starting. Initially reached out to you with this idea. You were down with it, man, and I consider you as a friend in real life. You know, I know you got social media, we have podcasts, but me and you have a different connection in real life, bruh. So I want to, first of all, thank you for being a part of the start of this whole thing, man.
Man, look, it was an honor. You know what I mean? I'm one of the guys that obviously played at the University of Florida, but I love speaking football. You know what I mean? Whether it's Gator football, whether it's and outside source of football, U.S. football, Canadian football, however you want to look at it, bro. Rival football, I get on there and take jabs at rivals too, man. So, it's just an honor. I was just in there playing NCAA football, man, and this dude get on there. He was like, "Man, you the real Ahmad Black?" I'm like, "Yeah, bro." Dude, like, I'm from Kentucky, man. Y'all used to kick our butt, and I'm like, "Well, we gotta spin the block because right now we ain't." So. But every little chance I get, man, I just love speaking ball. So I appreciate you guys.
So,
Ahmad, I said I felt a little fraudulent because I haven't been here for all 300, but I do appreciate the handoff.
Yeah, for sure.
The handoff. So I feel like we both had a part. It's good that you're the first guest tonight because you really got it started with Dan and Corey.
Absolutely, man. It's again, man. You took it and ran with it, man, and made it even better than I could, man. So I congratulate you guys on continuing it and keep going strong for Gator Nation.
I want to get into the Miami game eventually here, and we'll start talking about the season, man. But just leading up to like the end of last year, Corey Raymond leaving. And I just want to get some secondary talk from you, my guy. What was your thoughts on the secondary play last year? Corey Raymond leaving, and what are you looking for as far as like adjustments and improving this year?
Corey Raymond was there last year, man, and obviously we didn't get the results that we kind of wanted and thought we would get, especially with him at the helm, man, just calling the plays and whatnot. Or over the secondary. We gotta just make plays. I mean, it's not like we aren't there at times. Other times, man, we just we play lights out like we did against Tennessee, and then we'll turn around and play abysmal against someone else. So I think obviously we got to get a little bit more consistency in the back end, and it all starts from the front seven too. We give the back end all of the brunt of majority of the big plays and whatnot, because obviously those are the ones that's closest to the ball when it happens. But we got to get a pass rush, and all of it again goes hand in hand with each other. So with a better pass rush, I think we'll be better on the back end.
Here's something for you. A little cap or no cap, buy or sell. Jason Marshall, we were talking to him, and he said at some point he lost some confidence last year. And right. I think you could see that the way he was playing. But when you're a cornerback and the guy behind you is an 18-year-old freshman, and granted, Jordan Castell played well, but 600 snaps at 18 years old in the SEC is a lot. And then the other guy was a true sophomore, and then all of a sudden another true freshman back there. So how much does getting a guy like Asa Turner in, fifth-year senior, or getting a guy like Jordan Castell back, who's a sophomore on paper, but 600 snaps, you're not really a sophomore. You're a veteran now. Mm-hmm. How much can that help Florida? But also like you said, if you're not getting a pass rush, you're not covering anybody for 8 seconds in the SEC.
Yeah. Asa Turner back there is a huge addition to our secondary. He's one of the guys that came in and played a lot of football, and that can be great for us. I had a chance to meet with him and speak with him a little bit, man. He looks good getting off the bus for sure. And I know he's made a lot of plays in his career. So again, a lot of that comes from game reps. I mean, you can look at maybe a little bit biased and whatnot, but an 07 defense compared to a 2008 defense, which is pretty much a lot of the same players, but a year maturity wise netted great for us and also helped us out tremendously down the back end of games. When we're in weird environments and we can't hear, guys that have kind of been experienced regardless of, they're a freshman last year. I mean, 600 snaps, that's great for anyone.
Ahmad, have you had the opportunity to talk with Will Harris much?
Yes. So me and Will probably text once or twice every other week or so.
Okay, cool. What's his personality like? I mean, you've had a lot of DB coaches around you, and there's a lot of excitement. I mean, I know he's big on Twitter and all of that, right? So some people see that part of his personality. They see some videos, but what's he like as a person, and what do you think he's going to be able to do with the players that he has?
Great, man. He's one of those guys that, again, is a football guy. He's always amped up about the game. We know a lot of mutual people from him being on the West Coast playing, being out there with Washington and SC. I played with a few SC guys, and Jimmy Lake was over at Tampa when I was in Tampa with Raheem. So we knew some of the same guys, man. They kind of like hit it really, really quickly, right off the bat, because we kind of both got the same goals, is to be great. And, obviously, we all get on Twitter and say whatever we want to say, at times, and because we love our team. We're so passionate about our team. We want our team to succeed, right? So I don't think there's any harm behind that. But, Will is one of those guys that I put all my faith into. Obviously, he hasn't been out there a game yet, but just what he has been able to do since he's been on campus has been phenomenal.
Yeah. I talked to Will. He had just gotten the job. It was early signing day. And he's not even really a part of recruiting those guys because he got the job like the week before. And I remember talking to him. He's like, yeah, I'm flying back to LA to grab my stuff and come back. And I was like, do you know who your players are? He goes, no, but I got the iPad fired up and I'm going to watch them. I don't think the plane had landed at LAX. And then those offers to like DJ Douglas, Jacquez Bridges, and Asa Turner went out. And I go, he watched the film. He saw the tackling. He watched the tackling last year, and he went out and said, hey, I need to go get some veterans that don't mind putting their face mask into somebody's chest, like 3-5 used to.
For sure. I was able to go to a position meeting with them as well, and just his passion about the game, man. He's fired up how he teaches the game. I've been in meetings where I just would much rather watch paint dry on the wall. He's not that type of coach, man. He's interactive with them. Make them have, almost constructive listening, ask them questions to make sure that they know their assignment and what they need to do and get done.
Man, I don't know if you remember this, Ahmad, but a couple years ago, I drove out to Lakeland to go see the commitment ceremony, man.
And then
I drove out there. Hey, y'all hit the super chat, man. Definitely hit the super chat. If y'all have questions, we're answering questions and all of that. We appreciate everybody for hanging out with us, man.
Thanks,
the fans definitely make all this go. We appreciate y'all. But I rolled out to Lakeland, and I took my son with me. Went out there for a commitment for Cormani McClain, and I ended up getting a surprise of my life. I just thought it was a slam dunk, and I called you right afterwards. I was like, bro, you weren't even watching the commitment. That's how.
I was doing the Florida Georgia Denny event.
Yeah. That's what. Yeah, I hit you up. I said, hey, man, because you was coaching at Lakeland. I was like, yo, do you know he just committed to Miami? You was like, for real? Long story short, Cormani McClain ended up going to Colorado. He's back into Gainesville now. There's been a lot of just, reports here and there about his progress so far at UF. But what's your overall feel on Cormani McClain, Lakeland guy you coach from your alma mater, now back at UF? What's your feel on him getting back into Florida?
I think it's phenomenal for both parties. We obviously in a situation where we can't lose. I mean, he's not a scholarship guy right now. So if it doesn't work out, all right, great, we try it. If it does work out, all right, give him a scholarship. Let's go. Right. For him, it's a little bit more at stake. Not saying this is his last chance, but could be at the D1 level immediate, like right now. I can see a situation where if he were to leave, he can, try to get his way back into D1. And I think he's good enough to, but right now he's in a perfect situation to where he can maximize all of his opportunities. Everything that he done wrong up until this point, it just goes out the window. Because now you don't look at it as, oh man, I messed up. It's a learning experience, right? So, the not showing up to things, being late to things, those are things that you got to be, on top of, because you got to have some self-accountability. Right. Right now, when you go, if he was to go to the NFL right now, they will rip him apart in those meetings just from the allegations they've been reading on the internet. You see what I'm saying?
Word.
I'm telling you now, he can go out and be tremendous the next 2-3 years, and they still gonna bring it up.
For sure. Yeah, those character issues aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's gonna follow you. So now is the time to clean it all up and say, hey, listen, I was a freshman. I was a red shirt freshman, sophomore, whatever. And I just had to learn the college life, learn how to be a collegiate football player. And I think that he could be great. I think he can, we ain't talking about his ability. I already know what his ability is. I'm telling you now, he's probably the best corner I've ever seen in high school football. It's not even close. Like, he can literally shut down the whole side of the field. And that's what he brings to the game. And I think he can do that. He just got to get acclimated on doing the things the right way. And again, self-accountability.
Yeah, I think it's gonna come.
Go ahead.
No, I think I said this last show. I'll let you go, nigga. It's not even a question. I think it's gonna come down to him being able to adjust mentally as well. A kid that's been a superstar for a very long time. Our DB room is absolutely loaded with guys that can play, and they don't have the same issues as far as accountability and trying to fix their character and fix their face a little bit in the program. So he's gonna have to be patient. Sit back. Wait his time. That could get difficult if we start to lose games. So it's going to be a journey. I think he still got a little bit. I like to see the smile on his face when he's out there practicing. They got the picture clips that the football program put out. It looked like he's having a good time when the games get
some weight too.
Yeah, for sure. Put on some weight. What you have, Nick?
I'm enjoying that. Hold on. Oh, I know.
Well, when he first committed, I called him out and I was like, "Hey, can you talk to him about Cormani? You coached him."
Yep.
And the thing is, like, what I put on our message board, just trying to tell people who were asking me questions about him, was like, hey, he's been late to stuff. And Ahmad, if I'm a freshman, you're a junior, senior, and I'm starting to show up late to stuff, and now you have to do extra conditioning because I'm late, you're not going to be happy with me. But, like, it's not a big thing. Like, you handle it internally. So I just put it on our board, and then a Miami fan gets it, throws it on the thing. But, like, he's not doing anything bad. He's just a 19-year-old kid who's immature. Oh, man. And you're gonna learn your lesson.
I mean, we had Swamp Kings come out. Everybody saw Swamp Kings.
Yeah.
It was just a
pleasure. I think you guys handled things a little differently than like the TikTok generation we have now.
Yeah, bro. So with stuff like that, man, I just get back to the Swamp Kings. It's like, you guys know we put a lot on there, but there was a lot of stuff we left off.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that we didn't deal with dudes doing on their own show, right? Doing things how they want to do it. It's a team, right? Either you get in or you get hit in the face, and you gotta go. So I'm not saying somebody need to punch him in the face, but there do need to be somebody that say, "Hey, man, you with us or you not?" You know what I mean? And it got to be one of those older guys. I mean, I think they can really get to him. I think one of the things that kind of, when I was at Lakeland, we had a couple issues with guys. I would just make everybody run. And then now, after you run over and over and over for the same person, you'll weed yourself out. Now, high school is different because all these dudes grew up with you. How many of them going to say, hey, bro, tighten up? Your real friends may. But in college, I ain't grew up with you. And I'm not about to keep running for you being late, not doing what you're supposed to do. So that's where the issue come in at. You know what I mean?
It's supposed to be my Sunday off day, and here I am at 6 a.m. at the stadium staring at the steps because of you. No way, sir. No, sir.
And then, all of those things, man. I think obviously can be held within. You know, that was one thing that we pride ourselves on. Urban was always all about just keeping our business in house, and we didn't really tell a lot of people. Now, granted, we didn't have social media and stuff either. You know what I mean? But you know, we kept everything in house because we're a family, and like the only thing that anybody outside of this room is going to do is try to keep up the commotion.
Right. All right, man. We heading into the season, bro. This is Billy's third year. For me personally, make or break year. You know, I know that I think they're gonna give him a little longer leash to see what DJ Lagway do. But me as a fan, my buy-in is like it's to this year. The roster's been flipped. Dan Mullen guys are gone. Where are you at with it as far as this whole regime? And then year 3, Billy Napier. What are you looking to see as progression wise?
I mean, everybody keep counting us out, right? I mean, everywhere we turn, it's the Gators are going to look terrible. The Gators going to do this, but when you really take a look at last season, as crappy as it was, we're probably maybe 4 or 5 plays away from having 3 or 4 wins.
Yeah,
I mean, let's call a spade a spade. I mean, that was that Missouri on 4th and whatever,
4th and 17.
Arkansas, we got too many men on the field or something like that. And
Florida State,
too many men.
That double reverse in Florida State.
Yeah.
That double reverse was crazy.
Listen. First off, if Graham doesn't channel his inner Tebow at Missouri and is able to play against Florida State after Jordan had his injury,
man. But was that 3rd down when he did that?
No, I think it was like a 2nd down.
Yeah, 2nd down.
I could be wrong. Chat will let me know.
It was 3rd down. I'm like, all right, 2nd down. That's a lot, bro. Like, you got.
Bro, you had me riled up at the crib, though. At the crib, I was on top of my couch, bro.
I looked at my wife. I said, "Yeah, man, let's go. We in here."
Yeah, give them that 15, baby. Yeah, they should have get. I believed in the whole 15 after that. After he ran him, I was like 15.
The adrenaline wore off, and he had that little.
He had one play.
He was like,
the next play, he might have handed it off or something like that.
Yeah. Next play, he handed off, and then he's like, "All right, I got to go to the ground." Injury timeout. They're like, "Go down, go down."
Yeah,
what a tough guy though. He's tough as hell, man.
Yeah, but I think this coaching staff, they can turn it around. I mean, we got a great group of guys that can is starting to buy into this program. The first 5 games I think are all winnable. If you ask me, all the games are winnable. I mean, even Georgia.
I'm here a lot today, boy. Georgia catch these hands, man.
Even all right, cool.
Crazy, bro.
Hey, you don't have to look at that receipt until November.
Well,
just buy it now.
Going to Texas, I don't know. But there's a couple games in there that they mark us out and like we won't win, and we can really very well win those games. I think that. It's a 1-game mentality. Every single game, just get better. Focus on that team. Like I know we got Miami, and then we got so and so, and just focus on Miami. Let's worry about Miami, and then we get to Sanford or whatever or whoever UCF. Just focus on that game, and let all the outside wash. And however we win the game, we win the game. If it's ugly, pretty, whatever, you got to just win the game at this point. I think we can pull off a 7-game win season. But ultimately it's going to take everyone. It's going to take the players, it's going to take the coaches, the staff around the players, obviously, to come up with a good game plan. The guys got to be locked in when it's game time, and get back to Florida mentality. Like, stop letting people just push you around. Shit ain't gonna happen. If you got to punch somebody in the face, punch them in the face. Whatever, let's go. You know what I mean?
You got one shot at Miami, right? 08?
Yeah.
What was that like? And it was a home game. Is there a Miami fan presence in Lakeland? And then what was that game like? 08 in the swamp?
Yeah, somebody got mad at me in the barbershop because I said in order to like Miami, you got to probably be like 30, 35 or older. And like people like
Ahmad, we are 35.
Look,
we are 35.
You gotta be like 40
don't like Miami unless the only way a kid likes Miami is if their parents or grandparents like them. That's it. No one's jumping out of the womb and saying I like Miami anymore. Them days over with. But we do have some Miami fans here, more Florida State. But I just remember leading up to the game, man. It was just a crazy environment because obviously we heard about and watched the previous games with those guys and Dan, what year was that when we was up like 31 to like 7 or something like that, and they came back and like 2004 or something?
Yeah,
like,
2004.
Yeah.
2002.
I beat up my roommate that year about
Maybe
that game,
03,
man.
02
That was
or
like
03.
03.
Yeah.
That was like 03.
So
Yeah.
you just watch all those games, and when you got Miami fans talking arrogant, and we was about to, boat race some people out of town, man, and they came back. It's super doable. So when we got out there, it was I'm just up to that point. That was as loud as I heard the Swamp, like on the field. Like I remember not being able to communicate with Major because it was so loud and really, really, really hard to hear. I mean, the fans showed up that night, but it was awesome.
Yeah,
it was an awesome time. That was a game that's not played every year, and we were having the opportunity to get out there and play it. And we won a national championship that year, and it was awesome. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's I remember that game pretty vividly because there was because that's when I was on the recruiting staff, and we just standing there in the end zone, and Carl Moore, and I think it's maybe the only play that I remember of Carl Moore had a down the sideline reception.
He was a first down machine.
It was that before halftime?
Yeah. I think it was right before halftime. It's not that he wasn't serviceable. I don't mean that, but that was like the one big play, and everybody went nuts.
Was that the one where they had a challenge and all that?
Yeah.
Okay. You reminded me. I forgot about that, Dan.
Yeah. That's
I was like right before halftime or something like that, too. Or something crazy.
Shout out to Carl Moore.
Or after
JUCO, 5-star JUCO.
Carl Moore had some catches, though. Carl Moore.
I'm not saying that. Yeah. That's
him. Didn't look at Carl Moore until it was 3rd and 6 or longer, and then Carl would get that first down catch.
It was so funny because
Carl would have 6 catches a game, and 5 would go for first downs.
Listen, Carl Moore didn't drop a pass the first month he was in Gainesville. And I'm like, bro, it's 2 people that I ever seen like that. Carl Moore, Frankie Hammond. Frankie Hammond didn't drop a single pass the whole first 2 months he was there. So, yeah, man. Oh, good old Carl Moore.
Let me tie that Miami into this. So for me, this is kind of what I've gathered. Florida, and you've talked to or been around the team, they've bought into this new strength program. They've bought into the work that they've put in. A bunch of the guys, it almost seems like their motto, like, we're not trying to prove the doubters wrong. We're trying to prove ourselves right. If you lose to Miami, what does that do to a player's mentality? Do you start to think like, well, shit, like everyone else was also working hard in the summer and maybe what we just bought into isn't real? How big is that first game against a rival at home just for the psyche, the mentality of a team going forward with the rest of that schedule on the back end?
They gotta already know dudes are working. Like you gotta remember, it's always somebody bigger and badder than you. But you gotta close that gap. How do we close that gap? Maybe this person isn't the person that's bigger and badder than me. But I'm working extremely hard to try to close that gap to be able to be ready if that person happens to be Miami, right? And like I say, if you're already ready, you ain't got to get ready. So they should be right now attacking that shit, letting each other know, man, hey, we got to be ready every single game. Everyone wants to beat Florida. I don't care who it is. You don't think Texas A&M want to beat Florida? I mean, everybody does. LSU, Ole Miss. We smoked Ole Miss last time we played them. You don't think they want to beat Florida? So every week someone wants to beat us. Obviously people hate us on social media and whatnot. Hayes Fawcett picks anyone over Florida every year. So,
next
Florida does seem to find their way into most of those graphics, Mom.
Ahmad, I want to bring on somebody that might have something to do with why Florida might be hated a little bit more, probably because of the success that you guys have. We got man. On the program. Urban Meyer joins the show. Ahmad, I didn't tell you that Urban was going to come on while you were here. Him and I were talking about it. But wanted to bring you on because, I mean, what a run you guys had. So, Urban, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, when you told me Ahmad was on, Ahmad is one of my favorite, not only players, but people, and probably the best tackling football player I ever had and a great leader. And he helped me get my last win against Joe Paterno in Penn State with a pick 6. And he always reminds me of that. So
it's in our intro.
Now, Coach, I asked Ahmad, I said, they kind of zoomed into you on the sideline there. It looked like those eyes might not have been dry on the sideline after that pick six. And I don't know if Ahmad wants to cop to that or not, but it looked like a little emotion on the sideline there.
Yeah, there was. And I can't remember my address. I can't remember my middle name, but I can remember every play in my career, and I certainly remember that one, especially with Ahmad.
I mean, that whole just leading up to that game was awesome. I mean, obviously, we had a lot going on that year, and to be able to finish it like how we wanted to was just it was great. You know, my last game, coach's last game, a lot of those guys out there did it for us and for the guys that won't be there the following year. So I'm always in debt with these guys. I know Coach gets tired of me. I text him like weird stuff, asking him about Ohio State players. Like who was? I remember I think I texted him like how good was Braxton Miller one day, and you know, I just text random stuff. So whatever pops in my head. Like I said before, when I first got on the show, I love talking football. So that Coach helps me with my fix.
I wanted to ask Urban why he's here. So Ahmad gives us the story all the time about how he got number 35. So I want to speak about just numbers in general. I know the number one is one the fans always chimed in about. I know you put heavy emphasis on that. What do you guys both think about the number one and how you gave out numbers, Urban? Like, what was that motivation wise? What was behind it for you?
Well, I love winning, and I love winning with great players. And numbers are very involved in recruiting. I'm not a big number guy, so I could care less. But I'll tell you what, that's one of the most important things with players. Even back then, it is now. I know that as well. Wow, there's a little bit of lightning behind us.
Oh, wow. Thought of something else. Then I remembered you're in Salt Lake City, so.
Yeah, but numbers are very important. And Ahmad wasn't that highly recruited. He was, quite honestly, just okay when he first got to Florida. So I was either going to give him number 67 or 35.
I remember vividly, just coming from high school, man, and able to, we're at Lakeland. We can number one team in the country in high school, or however they crack that stuff out. And the Pouncey twins would wear like spatic cleats, and like we'll all wear like 2-3 socks and wristbands on our legs. I remember we got to Florida, and I think the Pounceys asked Coach Meyer if they could get like speed cleats. And he was like, "What are you talking about?" And visors was another thing. Coach Meyer ain't giving out no visor. You gotta do something before you get a visor.
Ahmad, you and Major have a great relationship, but I graduated high school at St. Thomas and Major. My God, we hated you guys. We hated you guys. 3 straight state championships.
Yeah.
I remember our senior year, Chris Rainey took like the first handoff to the crib, and then he started gator chomping in the end zone, and we were all like booing, and they were like, "All right, never mind. We'll back off for a second."
Yeah.
But what was that like, Coach? What was that like getting the Lakeland 7 in? Those guys who just had that winning mentality. They knew what it took to win at that level and to bring them into the program.
Yeah, I was blown away with the talent level of the state of Florida. And then back in my day, it was St. Thomas Aquinas, Lakeland every year for the championship. And we would have took the whole team, and we basically did the 1 year at the Lakeland Gator Knots, we used to call them. Bill Castle, one of my dear friends, I would go every year, spend a lot of time with his program. He ran it a lot like we did. He's very tough, very demanding, expected excellence, on and off the field, and he was great. And I'll tell you what, Rainey was the first one. Mm-hmm. And then I can't remember who was second, but once we flipped those Pounceys.
I think I was, let me tell you how it really went. So first of all, Randy committed to Florida.
Coach wants to be like, Ahmad, you were the player to be named later. You were not second.
All right. First of all, Randy committed to Florida, and I found out later, Coach didn't even offer him yet. So he committed without even freaking scholarship. So let's just start there. All right. Randy was already fixed on Florida. He was like, hey, regardless of whoever offers me, whenever I get the Florida offer, I'm going to Florida. So Randy committed without a scholarship offer.
I remember that now. I remember when he committed. I walked in the staff room and said, "Who is this guy? Is he any good?" And Charlie Strong was the Lakeland recruiter, I believe. And it was Stan Drayton was our running back coach.
Yeah.
And Chris Rainey was about 110 pounds, but my God, he could run. And so we ended up taking him, and we love Chris Rainey.
Yeah, Rainey's awesome.
And I don't know if you remember Major's recruitment at all, but I had a class in Major his senior year. He was getting called out of class all the time. Coaches coming to talk to him. And one time he comes back to class, and we're like, "Who was it?" He goes, "Charlie Weiss." He was at Notre Dame at the time. And we were like, "Man, how'd that go?" He goes, "I told him he's down here wasting his time. I'm going to Florida." And I was like, "Does Florida know?" He goes, "No." So I don't even know if you know that Major was in the bag before he went public.
Another funny story. So when Major committed, I was at Coach's house.
Do you remember what happened? He went up to the game of Ohio State against the Wolverines, one of the most legendary #1 versus #2. He was there. The Buckeyes win. They rushed the field, and I thought we had him too. And Chris Carter, who was a Buckeye but a dear friend, I coached Chris. Actually, not many people know this. I actually coached Chris Carter. I was a GA, but I coached him at Ohio State. We were very close, and he helped me a lot in recruiting. And when Major left Ohio State, Major told me too. He said, "Coach, I got a problem here. I don't know what to do." I was like, "Uh-oh." And we went to work on him, recruited him really, really hard. But he was flipped there for a minute, and we got him back to be a Gator.
Coach, how many people did you call in that national championship tunnel before the game? Because I talked to Deontay Thompson. I know there's a few other guys that told me they got a call from you as they were watching the national championship. I know you always recruiting, but how many guys you called in the tunnel before y'all ran out?
Recruiting became a complete obsession with me down there. And I hired a guy named Mark Pantoni, who is with Ohio State now. I brought him with me, and he's the very best in the business. And I would always push our coaches and myself. I don't want to make that phone call and say, "Hey, how'd you play last week? How's your girlfriend? How's your grades? Okay, I'll call you next week." You just wasted everyone's time. That's not a phone call. You got to make an impact. Any opportunity you can to talk to a great player, and players remember that. And so, it's a pain in the ass. And the last thing I want to do before we're taking the field against the Oklahoma Sooners is someone stick a phone in my ear. But I told our recruiting staff, I said, nothing's off limits. Whatever, I'll do it. If you think now, and I got pissed sometimes. I said, make sure this makes an impact. And that's a pretty good impact. 5 minutes before that ball is about to hit the foot, to get a phone call from the field or whatever, in the locker room, wherever we were.
Hey, Silk, I wasn't good enough to get that call, man. I wasn't on that call list, so I can't tell you how that feels.
He paid you on your beeper?
Ahmad got an email in July.
I got a piece of paper and said, "Hey, congratulations."
I'll tell you what, though, that interception you made against Sam Bradford, that proved you're good enough.
All right, there we go.
Absolutely.
Since we have you both on the show, you guys both had the unique opportunity to be on Swamp Kings. Talk to us a little bit about that process, because I know there was some talk early on, and then I know Urban, you and Tim signed off maybe a little bit later on into production, as things were getting started. What was that experience and process like for you guys? And was the show what you expected it would be after it was produced? Or talk to us just a little bit about that whole Swamp Kings documentary.
Yeah, they came to me and I said no. They went to Tim and said no. And I thought it was going to be one of those, those hit job, saying our players are bad guys and we had a bunch of thugs you start after a while, you don't care when you're working. And when you stop and you kind of reflect, so you talk about getting pissed off. I start hearing stuff going, that's not true. That's not true. Were we perfect team? No. Did we have guys that we, do stuff they weren't supposed to? Was there also some unfair treatment? Of course there was. All the above. And so I told Netflix, I said, you might not want me on this because I'm not working, and I will blow this thing up if you start saying untruths. And she was great. And the whole production team said, Coach, I think at first they wanted us to make it into something like that. We found out they started interviewing our players. And I asked them for the interview sheet, I said, I want to know who you talked to. And I saw the list of players, and they're not the guys that were disgruntled. They're not the guys that maybe were kicked off the team. They're not the guys that didn't play, because that you're always going to have that. But it was you know, it was Brandon Siler, it was Dallas Baker, it was, you know, the Major Wright, Joe Hayden, Ahmad Black, some of these great players. And I started thinking about it. I said, heck yeah, I want to do this. We had the opportunity to play with one of the greatest players. I think, I'm biased, the greatest player of all time, Tim Tebow. You had arguably one of the greatest football teams in college football history. Again, I'm biased, but I've been around the game a little bit. That 2008 team, as good as teams there's ever been on the football field. And I said, hell yeah, we'll do this. And I thought they did a good job.
How it kind of started at first was kind of weird because, you know, people always wanted to do documentaries and this and that and the third. Well, they wrote us on Facebook, which is super weird. So, like, it was like one of those, like, filtered messages where, like...
That's how I ask people to come on the show, man.
It was, like, super weird. And then when you click on the page, it had, like, 1 or 2 pictures. And it was, like, they were from the UK. And I'm like, nah. Well, then I guess a couple guys had got it. And we start texting each other, like, hey, you know, is this something that we might want to do and whatnot? A lot of people don't know, but I know we would speak with Coach for like a month and a half or so. Every Thursday we would get on a Zoom call, all the players. And I think we had like maybe Timmy's attorneys on one time when we originally spoke with the Netflix people or the production company, just to, like Coach said, to make sure it's told the right way and not putting us in a bad light. And everything went well. I mean, all the guys that everyone wanted to see on there were on these meetings. Now, over time, you know, maybe a guy or two would drop out for various reasons. We don't know. But ultimately, I think they did a great job of just basically showing what it took to be a Gator at that time and what it took to be great. Like Coach said, arguably one of the best teams to ever play the game. And people want to know, how did you train? What did you do? How did you prepare for a game? What was it like on the sideline? What was it like off the field? And they got all of that in one documentary.
Coach, Brandon Siler kind of stole the show, episode 1, with his personality, his story about when you thought, hey, Brandon's not doing what he needs to do off the field. Let me call his parents in. And his retelling of that story, I want to hear your perspective of what you thought it was going to be. Hey, I'm getting his parents into my office. We're going to set this kid straight, to how the meeting went down in your view.
Well, my coaching career, you know, I coached at Notre Dame, then I went to Bowling Green, Utah, then Florida, and I was educated on life in Gainesville, man. I mean, it was something like I'd never experienced. And Gainesville can be, you know, that downtown area, and I was kind of inundated with just stuff. You know, when players were struggling academically, and, you know, here's my leader. He was without the doubt the leader. He's the alpha male of that team. And we became pretty close early on, but he was living a life that was not conducive to what I wanted our team to be. Nothing horrible, but just college life. And so I would chew him up. I'd get after him and rip his ass. And then finally, and it's worked many times over the years, I said, enough, you know, enough. I'm getting your parents in here. We're going to get this shit straight, because you could be an NFL high draft pick if we just take care of yourself, man. And sure enough, his mom and dad, I set the meeting, and he told it beautifully. They came in, and I was ready to dive into the whole thing. And I mean, I got knocked back. His mom said, she called me Myers, you know, Myers. Hey, Myers, we came here to win a national championship, and my son be a first-round draft pick. And she started pointing at me. And if you can't do that, I know you came from Utah, but this is Florida. And I mean, she's ripping my ass. And it goes on and on and on. You can tell they had a couple pops or something before they came in. And that was true. I remember I grabbed Brandon, I gave him a big hug and said, hey, keep doing what you're doing, bro. I got you. And let's try to keep this thing on the tracks.
It's a story that a lot of people don't know either. So when me and the Lakeland guys were getting recruited, obviously Rainey had an older brother, Rod Smart. So Rod played with the Carolina Panthers. When Rod would leave Lakeland to go back to Carolina, he would leave a car here for Rainey. So I just told my mom this like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, Mom, when you used to let me go with Chris Rainey, we would be in Orlando, and I would tell you I was down the road. Not true. I was in Orlando. But me and Rainey would always go to Gainesville. And one time we went up there, we were still in high school, and Randy, just has a way with getting the people. He knew all the players already at Florida, and we end up somehow picking up Brandon Siler. I don't know how we picked up Brandon Siler in the car. I let Brandon sit in the front seat because I didn't want no issues.
I'm on no problem, sir. I'm in the back seat.
No problem. So I ended up sitting in the back, and I remember distinctly, Coach, I almost didn't come to Florida, by the way. I wasn't going to college. Brandon Siler had on a tank top, and the size of his shoulders was something I've never seen in my life. And I'm like, is this what college football players look like? I'm not playing after this. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, he got in the passenger seat, and he just, everything, just his arms, and I'm like, fuck. Like Coach says, I mean, he's the ultimate, alpha dog. You know what I mean?
Urban, what do you? Coach? Mickey Marotti was negatively recruiting you by getting your guys to lift weights without you even knowing. Just negative recruiting by your own strength coach.
Man, that whole team was just loaded with just like different type of guys, just like freak athletes, bro. Like I remember as a fan back then, as the message board were released, the Percy Harvin pictures, the Cornelius Ingrams, the Omarius Hines, like all those guys were just freaks, like physically. And you don't see that no more, but that was the era, like the 40 times that they would post, the workouts that they would post. Like we were all fiends for that stuff, fans wise, but it was just a different era of competitiveness. Like it was just on a different level at UF at that time. We're trying to get back there, but what's your overall feel for the team right now, if y'all don't mind me asking?
I think Ahmad probably knows more than I do. I'm really pulling for him. I know Coach Napier a little bit. Charlie Strong went to a spring practice and called me from the practice. They have Graham Mertz. I actually recruited Graham Mertz out of St. Louis. I think it was St. Louis or Kansas City. I really admire him as a player and a person. I think he's going to be great. The schedule's real, but if I was the coach, I'd probably, I wouldn't even talk about it. We in 2006 we had the hardest schedule in college football, and I remember as a coach, you internalized it because you thought, my gosh, but once you get going, it's day to day, week to week, and try to keep your players healthy and motivated. And, so I'm pulling for him. I don't know enough about him because we spend most, Fox, Big Noon, we spend most of our time in the Big 10 and Big 12. But because it's the Gators, I certainly do follow them, and I'm pulling for them.
You busy next year, just in case? What do you rank yourself? What do you rank yourself all time, man? You in this era, you definitely, it was you and Nick Saban kind of I think you guys evolved the game, especially in recruiting, but it was pretty much you and Saban going back and forth with runs of Florida, Ohio State, and he was at Bama the entire time. But what do you rank yourself?
Corey, I don't, I'm not going to go there. Shelly's over here. She can come. She'll give me.
Let's get Shelly. Let's get Shelly. Yeah, we'll take her.
Because mine is probably going to be the same as Shelly. So
now we're talking to the boss.
Question, please. Hi.
We're definitely the GOAT show now. We got Shelly on, man. This is crazy.
We only get another hour at this point.
Right? I'm not biased at all either. So just go ahead and shoot it out.
Totally what would you rank Urban all time?
Oh, is this going to get me in trouble? Do I get dinner tonight? I would have to say third.
Okay. Who you got first and second?
Woody. I'm going to say Woody.
Okay.
Nick Saban and Urban. Steve
I like
Spurrier.
it. I like it.
That's a good order.
Here you have it.
Do I get dinner?
You're good.
Okay.
You get to cook it. Go Gators.
I don't know too much about Woody. I know a little bit. I was able to beat Nick Saban on coach team. I'm going coach number one. I don't. Maybe I'm biased. I don't know.
And here's one when Dan told us you were going to be on. I know that you don't need to politic for this, but I think it's past due to have your name in the Ring of Honor and have it up there in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium for what you did for Florida and your accomplishments at Florida. I think we are overdue for that honor, Coach.
100%.
Nick, I appreciate it, and I love the Gators, and I appreciate you guys having me on. And I told you before, we'll do it. I think last year I couldn't do it, but anytime.
Absolutely. Well,
And
Urban,
Nick,
we appreciate.
Hold on, I got one more story. So Coach probably don't remember this, but I do.
He's trying to leave. Ahmad's trying to throw you under the bus, Coach.
It didn't matter anyway. So, Nick, you went to St. Thomas. I remember 2008, the year we won the national championship. St. Thomas played Lakeland in the state championship. Coach has no idea, right? And it was in Orlando. It was in Orlando. Coach has no idea that all of us are kind of planning to go to it, but we have practice first, right? So we already know, like, we got it down to a science of what time we need to get out of practice, go get changed, get in the car, get to Orlando, and back, because we probably have practice the next day or something. We get to, like, period 9, 10, and this shit's going, like, in our mind, this shit's smooth. Hey, we almost there, like, fuck, we ready to hop on the road? Coach, you started fucking practice over from the beginning. I was like, wait. No. And we ended up starting practice over. We hop in the car and get on the road late, and it was already like, that's the year they had both Bosa brothers were on St. Thomas. You had Chris Carter's son. You had James White played in the NFL. Giovanni Bernard played in the NFL.
Chris was the OC.
Yeah, they just smoked Lakeland that year. So, I mean, I guess in reality it didn't really matter. But Coach, I just wanted to let you know that you don't have to start practice over that day.
I saw a quote in a book one day that they had for me that said, I used to tell the team, we're going to have 2 really good hours of practice today. 2 really good hours. It might take us 4 hours, but we're going to get 2 good
Pat Dooley and Robbie Andrew. I didn't cover Florida when you were there, Coach, but Pat Dooley and Robbie Andrew speak, I guess we'll call it fondly, of how long practices would go when they had media after practice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Hey, one last story for you. So, and I think it was Coach Belichick. This is how good those guys were in 08 and 09. I can't remember if it was spring 08 or 09, but I tell people this story that we were if you had to say what was the drill that symbolized the Florida Gators was inside run.
Oh, God.
And you had the Pouncies and you had, Carlos Dunlap and Spikes and we bring the safeties down with Ahmad. And I mean, it was
violence.
It was Vietnam, man. I mean, it was hardcore. And that was our signature. People say you're spread offense. We were a spread offense that tried to hit you in the face as hard as possible. That's what we were. And the defense with Charlie Strong, Greg Madison, and that whole crew, we're going to hit you right back. And we had those alpha personalities. And every period, probably around period 7, period 8, everybody knew it was coming. We'd start blowing those horns, and I'd lose my mind. Everybody started going crazy. And we had Dazio and Madison and, oh, my gosh, Charlie Strong screaming at each other. The players start whooping at each other.
Yeah.
And I'm standing on the side. I want to say it was Coach Belichick. And we start going. And the whole idea is it's not tackle. You got to stay up. And that first play, you had Tebow woofing at Spice going after him. You had the Pouncey twins and going after Rainey. And, and Ahmad jumping all, everybody's going crazy. That first play was like something I've never seen. The amount of violent contact that took place. There's everybody's on the ground. I mean, it was a and I said, stay up. I'm going to warn you last time, stay up. And Belichick looks at me and says, I've never seen anything like that. And we second snap again, and it was even more violent. I blew the whistle. I said, you're done. Go. Get out. Go individual. Because that's the number one quality of every great player, every great coach, and every great team is competitive spirit. And the one thing about 08 will forever be etched in my mind and heart. That was the most competitive freaking group you ever been around. They were not going to lose. So I'll leave you with that.
Awesome. Well, Urban, we appreciate you coming on the show and enjoy the rest of your vacation, and buy Shelly a nice dinner. Thank you. Ahmad,
I got one for you real quick before you run out of here too. On those lines, supposed to stay up. The clip, which looks like it was filmed on either a Sidekick Pro or a Potato, made the rounds of Major, hitting Chris Rainey, and y'all still had the black stripes. Like you guys were freshmen, hadn't earned your real stripe yet. What was that like? Because it looked like 3 years of losing the state championship, Major taking it out on Chris Rainey when Chris was like, hey, we're all standing up, right? We're all staying up.
All right, listen. Tell you this story. The only time I'm going to tell this story. So we got the black stripe. You mentioned the black stripe. So whenever you become a freshman at Florida or just getting to Florida, they give you a black stripe on your helmet. And you get a big brother as you get the black stripe, and you make a play or you have a great practice, or you do something outstanding to basically earn your stripe as a Gator. We'll have, because it's camp, so you're gonna be there all day. And at nighttime we would have our big brother come up, if you were picked to get and they'll take the stripe off in front of the team. I never got my stripe off.
You still got it
right now.
Still got his stripe.
Dog, listen. I never got my stripe off, bro. I think Dorian Monroe is my big brother. I never got my stripe off. It kind of went into
that's a wild big brother.
Nah, bro, listen.
Dorian went to get cigarettes and never came back with a stripe.
Bro, listen, I was just a complete bowl of crap that I didn't even get my stripe off. So as we get closer to the game, that first game, that Thursday, right? They give you your game helmet. Bro, my heart was beating all the way to my locker because I saw the game helmets in the other dude's locker. I'm like, bro, if they got my black stripe on me, I'm gonna take that shit on myself, dog. I swear to God, I'm gonna take it on myself.
Oh man.
And it wasn't on there. And I'm like, fuck. All right, cool. And I'm on special teams a little bit. I'm like second on the depth chart and kickoff. And I'm like, all right. So when we play the game and when we come back to practice, my shit gone. So I never brought it back up. I was saying, want to bring it back up.
Listen, I don't need to bring that back up. We don't need to put the black stripe back on the helmet. Somehow Dorian did it on in his own dorm room. He took it off.
I don't know. But when Major did that, man, it kind of, first of all, it immediately ended practice. So I was happy about that because at the time, remember, I was playing corner and there was no way in God's green earth he could have gave me freaking, Usain Bolt's legs. I just wasn't fast enough, bro, to even guard anyone. I mean, our worst receiver my freshman year was probably David Nelson. Oh, by the way, he played like 6 years in the league.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Now you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like at the least, bro, when Bubba Caldwell already did his reps, Percy already did his reps, and then you got Lewis Murphy already did his reps, and then B. James did his reps, and then you like, damn, I'm gonna get the sorriest dude, and it'd be Deontay Thompson, and he run over route.
He running 4.240 and whatnot.
Hey, bro, I got a heater story real quick, man, and then I'm gonna let y'all go. So we in camp my freshman year, and usually typically guys go like 1 or 2 times, like the big name guys, the starters and whatnot. So Joe just moved the corner. They got him going against Percy and Bubba, and obviously he playing outstanding, bro. He's number 7 overall pick for a reason. You know what I mean? And dudes just going out. Now you're starting to get the second string dudes and third string. So I ain't get a rep yet, by the way. I'm just sitting over there. Dudes don't even want to give me reps. But it was towards the back end of the period, and now dudes kind of getting lazy a little bit. We were done before the period ended, and Bubba Caldwell just randomly just hops up because he wanted another rep. So they were like, hey, Bub need one. Go out for Bub. So I was like, fuck it. I ain't got to rep all day shit. I'm throwing my hand. That man, Coach Heater, looked at me. He said, Ahmad Black, get your ass out of there. You're my 7th damn corner in front of everybody. And I'm like, damn, number 7 corner. I went to counting, bro, and it's only 5 people. So I end up, it's going to get funnier. It's going to get funnier, bro.
Yo.
So I go in one day.
Do the head count.
7?
Bro, I had a meeting with Coach Heater, right? So I go in his office and shit, and I'm looking at the depth chart, bro, and it's literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 space, and then my name. I'm like, yo.
Hey, Coach, you got air at 5th string, 6th string?
Yo.
Man, listen, bro.
In case of emergency break glass.
Bro, I was so embarrassed, bro. At that time, and the one time with Coach Heater, bro, me and Coach Heater like this to this day. I mean, me, Coach Heater, like, we all tight, but it's just so funny because dudes, we still be laughing because, like, dudes always be like, "Hey man, I got treated bad," like a D Finley or something. Man. We like D.
Yeah.
You don't even know what treated bad means. Let me just start there. Like we got 2 days, so we get out of camp. It was my freshman year. We had corners and safeties together after practice in the meeting, and I think Tony Jordan was like, "Hey man, Coach Heater." The dude's still walking in or whatnot. It was like Wandy walking in late. Like I think one kid came in late, and he was like, "Hey, Coach Heater, man, we thirsty." I swear to God, bro, Coach Heater was writing something on the board, and that man looked halfway over his shoulder. He was like, "Hey, Ahmad Black, go get everybody some Gatorade."
Yo.
Hey man, I said, "Coach Heater, you got it, bro. I ain't going to, bro. Listen, to this day, bro, they still thirsty because I don't want to. That's why I drew the line in the sand, bro. I'm like, I'm sorry,
You gotta have some
line
under,
right here, bro. Like, nah, you know what I mean? So
You gotta tell them that space above you can go get the Gatorade.
That's it. Like, man,
Six strings getting the Gatorade.
It was so crazy because like I even tell my brother and like how camp was back then. Like camp now isn't how it was back then. You know, for various reasons. Dog, you ain't leaving no alarm clock for like 3-4 weeks. It's no point even setting one. All you're gonna hear is an air horn. And then loud beating on your door. And not one time have I seen them run and knock on Percy's door like that, bro. People ain't knock on Percy's door like that. People probably gave Percy a little, you all right? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Room service.
Bro, bought you something, bro, you know. But man, them was the times, man. So I hopefully, Florida can get back to some of those great times and whatnot. That's what we all hope for. But I'm in that thing, Miami game. I got my
go. Give me a scope. Let's talk crazy.
I got my club seats already confirmed yesterday.
Okay.
We locked in.
Yeah, make sure you eat properly, man. They don't have any vegan options, man.
Vegan?
They don't have any vegan options.
Listen, he stopped living righteous years ago. Don't listen to him.
Once you left, all of a sudden.
Man, listen, you need you some. They have some good stuff up there.
Oh no, it's fire, bro. You just if you plant based, if you don't want to eat a dogless hot dog, you gotta come prepared, man. What you got score wise, bro, for the Miami game?
They got us -2.5. We got us +2.5. They -2.5. I think we win. I think it's on I'm gonna say 30-24.
Okay.
I like that.
Ahmad's lies are in camp mode. You're a 1-score game. Ahmad, I need you with your chest on August 5th. We're 26 days away.
I just got an email. They telling me we can only get one field pass for the season. One.
Listen, I think the boys need Ahmad Black in their face either August 31st or before Kentucky, because I don't know that I know you don't know what it's like to lose to Kentucky, but a lot of these boys don't know what it's like to beat Kentucky yet. Might need 35.
Yeah, we got those wins back, man.
Kentucky.
We got those wins
stop
back.
it. Stop. Don't be that loser mentality. Stop it.
Hey, I don't know what you want me to tell you, man. They cheated.
Vacated wins are better.
They cheated, baby.
Nick, so when you have kids and your kids turn 35 years old, and they look back and they say, let me see what Florida did back in the day, and look in the record books, and they say we won. And who am I to dispute them?
Taking them wins, man.
Take it how we live. You know what I mean?
That's what the encyclopedia says.
Yeah, whatever it says, whatever it say, go. So
or Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Whichever's your bag. And we definitely hanging out pregame tailgate wise. We're gonna be right there off of University on what's the address? 2021 Southwest 23rd Street. We're about 9 miles away from the stadium.
9 minutes, not 9 miles.
No.
9 miles.
Yeah.
You walk to the end of that street and you can see the track. You're right there.
Yeah. I mean 9 minutes. 9-minute walk to the stadium. We're right there. What is that? The track field over there? Track practice field?
Yep.
Yeah. We're
parked in that little where you always be at? In the little
No.
We actually got a house. So we're right off of I'll shoot you the address. It's actually on the graphic if you go check us out.
If anybody listening and they like one of the bicycle dudes, just go ahead and park it. Just go ahead and park it. Yeah, I'm gonna need a lift. So go ahead. If you're here, first one come. That's what we're getting money. I'm for sure gonna need a lift.
When we left the game last time, I leave the game with Ahmad and Major, man. We walking a long ass way, bro. So we just trucking, and I'm thinking like, hey, bro, I kept telling him, I said, bro, y'all need to stop somebody and tell them who y'all is. You know what I'm saying? Like, to get us a ride. And they kept, nah, man, we don't like to do that, man. So one truck's driving by, and the guy said, is that Major Wright and Ahmad Black? I was like, hell yeah. He's like, jump on the back. So we ended up jumping on the back and getting like a 7-8 mile ride to where we actually parked at, bro.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. I mean,
that was a long night.
Me and Major, you don't realize, because you typically probably do it in the car. You don't realize how far that goddamn stadium is from that Publix on what is that, 34?
Oh, frat Publix? No,
Bro,
sir.
That's far.
Walking down second.
That's far.
That's a height. All right, man. Well, I'll see you tailgate, bro. I gotta send you over the merch. The merch, you got you on the merch, Snell and some others. But August 31st, 10 a.m., bright early, bushy tail. We hanging out. Big vibes.
I can't wait. Look, kids ain't coming with me. Just me and the wife. We gonna hang out.
Y'all hanging out.
Yeah, we hanging out for sure.
Y'all hanging out.
I'm gonna drink a little bit. You know, I'm drink, Dan.
Yeah, I know.
And then find me something good, Dan.
I got you, bro. I got you.
And then whatever you pass me, that's what we rocking with.
Anything for 35, you know that.
That's a slippery slope of mine.
That's a very slippery
slope at 11
right now.
You about to turn into a bender, baby.
No. You're giving Dan the wheel. No. Let Jesus take the wheel. Don't let Dan control your drinking.
I'll be his designated driver for the day.
All right, cool.
Yeah, we'll get you to where you need to be. Awesome, Ahmad. We appreciate you, brother. Thanks again for everything you did for this show, man. And we're looking forward to having you on again, man.
Absolutely, man. Keep being awesome.
Hey, be well, brother.
Hold it down.
Man.
Yeah. We about to put Black on the bender vibes, man. Hey, y'all keep chiming in with the super chats. We appreciate it. We'll get back to the questions that we had. Fans, man. We appreciate y'all.
To them. Kyle Coe, we appreciate you. Anthony Beck, we appreciate both.
I do.
We also appreciate you advertising your show. We'll talk. Let me know after. And then Unique Productions. Appreciate everybody's super chat. Make sure while you're here to hit the like and subscribe button. Share it with anybody, man. That was a lot of fun. And we didn't anticipate having Ahmad and Urban on at the same time, but I was texting with Urban a little bit before and thought that would have been a really cool, just overall vibe. So we're glad that both of them could stay on for as long as they did. Let's get a couple quick ad reads out of the way while we wait for Jaquez. Let's do Homefield Apparel. Go visit them. Homefield Apparel here soon. Go check out their website. Go join the mailing list. They have a bunch of new shirts. They have the starter jacket, the baseball pullover. They have a couple other things that they're releasing here soon before the season starts. So go check out homefieldapparel.com. Promo code Stadium and Gale at checkout will get you 15% off of your order. And then also go check out Gametime Sidekicks. If you want awesome cups that look like that or this or whatever it might be.
Flex on them, baby.
Vacuum sealed. Best cups on the market for a fraction of the price of what you might be used to paying for some of these other cups that are on the market. So go check them out. Again, that's GametimeSidekicks.com. You can use promo code Stadium15 at checkout. That'll get you 15% off of that order as well. So GametimeSidekicks.com. Promo code Stadium15. Nick, while we wait for Jacquez, while we wait for Tate, I know you're not there right now. But
I got a quick shout out.
Yeah.
Let me give a quick shout out to my guy, Dylan. I know they're doing a watch party up in North Carolina, Southern Peak Brewery out in Apex. Appreciate you guys for pulling up and having a whole watch party for the 300 show, man. Big love, big vibes.
While we wait for Nick will be back in a second. Corey, who are some of your favorite guests that we've had on the show or some of the memories that you've had?
Man, my favorite guest is Chris Rainey. Probably one of my favorite Gators just to have a conversation with. Incredibly funny, passionate. So that interview was just insight from just a life perspective, man. Yeah. Just super inspiring. He overcame a lot of things, man. That one was one of my favorite. Rand Cawthorn, how you say his last? Cawthorn was definitely one of my favorites. Key West guy. Got to give us a little insight into where he's at career-wise. Going from that to where he's at now is just, inspiring stuff as well. Yeah. But Bro, I've enjoyed it's the small shows, man. I enjoyed when we had Stephen Harris on a couple weeks ago, that was like a month ago. Very, very good episode. Chemistry was there. We had our own little spats on Twitter and whatnot, but everything comes full circle. So the conversation that we had with him was very entertaining. Channing Crowder is always a riot. We had to edit some stuff out of that show because we did real wild. And people would never have an idea about what that show really was, but bro, I've enjoyed every single guest, every single interview, from the gymnastics to softball to baseball. Everybody we've had on has been, super supportive and just fun time. But my favorite one is definitely Chris Rainey.
We've had some awesome opportunities too before. We went Fort Knox on interviewing coaches. We got the chance to interview Tim Brewster before he was even announced. The Gators tight end coach. That was a ton of fun. We got to talk with Nick Savage and Lee Begley. So we got a lot of folks from that coaching staff under Dan Mullen. We never got Dan. We got a number of other folks from that staff. And that just kind of gives you just a different perspective of what their life was like. We've had Jeremy Foley and Scott Strickland on. Roland Thornquist, the women's tennis coach at the time, was a really interesting behind the scenes view. Now Mary Wise. Just a lot of really cool experiences from Chip Howard and Mike Spiegler. And I know that these names aren't all Gator fans love, but just to kind of learn about the operations of the Florida Gators athletic department and how that works is wild. And then I think one of my favorites was Carlos Alvarez. And Carlos Alvarez is one of the best Gator receivers of all time, the Cuban Comet. I'm going to try to see if he's available for the Miami game that week, but just an incredibly gifted individual, both athletically, and then his career has taken him to be one of the top attorneys in the state of Florida. So Nick, do you have any favorites?
Helping facilitate Billy, getting Billy on the show.
Yep, that was awesome.
I don't know that I think we were the first he did, and I think he's not doing podcasts, so I think we might be the only one.
Yep.
Depending on how long he's at Florida, maybe he'll change. One for me, like, you get a little desensitized to it in my job because we're talking to these guys all the time. But I never covered gymnastics, and I think I was like fangirling over Trinity Thomas just because she is the GOAT of Florida gymnastics. Being able to talk to her, she was super cool, down to earth. But yeah, there's like even just some of like the little ones. I enjoyed Silk sparring with the UCF guy 2 weeks ago.
I mean, Nick,
you gotta see me again.
The Matt Baker interview, man.
Boy, gotta come see me. Oh, Matt Baker! I forgot about Matt Baker.
Was I not here for the Matt Baker?
No, Matt Baker was on the show.
I wanted to fight that boy, man.
We did Lee Begley and we did and Tim Brewster. That was a hell of a show. But let me tell you what, sparks were flying. I encourage everybody to go listen. It's our second most listened to interview ever. I think it went pretty viral. But it went so far as the interview ended and there wasn't even a goodbye. Thanks for having me.
No, you just got
you can follow me. It was a quick end to that one.
I wanted to shoot a fair one with Baker.
Yeah.
And we still can. If he's down for it, I'd like to set up a fair, fisticuffs. Kirby Sneed was another one that I enjoyed. Baseball guy. He came on. It's all the names aren't huge, but they're Gators. Yeah. That was a good conversation as well.
Brad Culpepper was really good. Talking about his life and his stories. Spencer's here, just sitting in the green room, not producing or anything, just hanging out. He mentioned the Shane Edge interview. That one was a really good one. He's the punter that ran the fake. And he described everything down to the T there. So, Nick, we're sorry that you weren't here for that interview.
Covered his son. His son, Brock Edge, played baseball at Florida.
Yeah. Also, we did just events wise. So we did the Trap Music Museum before Roll Up or Flow Factory. Anybody did Trap Music Museum. Me, Dan, pulled up in Atlanta, hung out. We had a watching party as well in Atlanta. I think Nick, you pulled up, and that's when we started having a conversation about Nick joining the show.
4 events. That was incredible.
Atlanta.
So we did something in Buckhead on Friday night. which was awesome. There was probably 200, 250 people. Not everybody was there just because we were there, but a lot of people were.
I'm gonna say everybody was.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about it. Let's get Jaquez on the show and chat with him a little bit.
Five.
Man,
Hey, real quick, before we get started. My very first interview, right, for anybody in podcasting, bro, was Jaquez Green, and I'll forever be grateful for this brother. I had no idea what I was doing. We had terrible audio. We was on SoundCloud. I hit Quez up on Twitter. He was like, yeah, man, I'll pull up. My very first interview ever was Jaquez Green, one of my favorite Gators. So I appreciate you, brother, for that.
Appreciate you, man. You know, I believed in what you was trying to, get going as far as this podcast stuff, and I'm always willing to help people out if they need some help. Just give me a time and a place, and hopefully we can work things out.
Corey was a SoundCloud rapper starting a podcast and got 5 on.
Yeah, I remember when Jacquez followed me on Twitter. I was but a young buck. I don't know. This is probably 11, 12 years ago. Probably 11 years ago. I lived in Tampa, and I was on Twitter, and it was like Jacquez Green following. I'm like, that's my GOAT, because when I was 8 is when you guys won that national championship against FSU, man. And I give my parents a lot of credit for letting me stay up on a school night to watch that. But between you, Ike, and Riedel, and now I get the chance to talk and text with you. Riedel Anthony's a good buddy of mine now, too. So the idea of that to 8-year-old me is nuts. So, man, I appreciate your love for the Gators, and you support this show, man.
Yeah, I support, man, the show, the Gators, myself, Ike, and Riedel. Actually, my whole class of 94, we on a constant group chat all the time talking about football. Everybody discuss what's going on with the program, the game decisions, coaching decisions, everything. So everybody's all into the game. So to this day.
Ooh, I know that chat lit.
It is.
You got to get in. I won't even participate. Just throw me in. It's just another name.
So what do you think about, I won't get to the entire team in a little bit, but what do you think about the wide receiver corps? I think we got some guys in that room right now.
I think we got some guys that can play. We got some depth also. We got multiple guys I think can play. It's just a matter of getting the guys the football in the right spaces, in the right places. I think Eugene Wilson, he'll be more effective if they can, get him vertical a lot more instead of just short doink passes and throwing the ball to him left and right. I think he'll create even more space if the defense know he can get vertical as well as throwing them horizontal routes throughout the game. I think he is the best receiver on the team as of right now. But that was last season, and each season you have to prove yourself as the receiver. You can't rest on what you did the year before because every season is different. Every team is different.
That's something he said. I think he saw Ricky Pearsall play a little bit outside his senior year and then go specifically to Mobile and play outside because you'd already got all this tape of him being in the slot and shifty and all that. And I think that's something that because of the additions of Chim Dike and Elijah Badger and you got Khalil Jackson that, hey, you're going to be able to move Eugene around, play him at the X, not just playing him in the slot. And I think that is something he wants to show.
You never want to get pigeonholed as just a slot receiver or just an outside receiver. Because most receivers that are pretty good have to get moved around the formation, especially if you want to get the guys to football. You got to move them outside. You got to motion them inside. You got to start them in the slot, motion them outside. So you have to get creative to get great players to football.
Got to find the mismatches, huh?
Yeah. Find the duck on the defense and try to get him lined up against him and go at him.
Quickly, could you identify the duck on the defense when you were out there?
Yeah, everybody knows the duck. You do scout reports. You do scout reports. In college football, you watch the film, and the coaches know who the weak link of the defense. Or the guy that's been struggling in coverage, last couple of weeks prior to your game. That's the guy you want to go at also. In the upper levels, in the pro levels, they identify the guy based on scout reports. Who has been giving up the most catches, who's been giving up the most catches. It's not always about the person's name. It's about what he's been doing in the game. It could be your turn to play him, and he's been giving up 8 or 9 catches a game, or he's been giving up a higher percentage of completions in the game, even though he's supposed to be a big-time All-American or what have you. So that's the guy you want to go at.
They say if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it must be a duck. When do you let the duck know that you've identified him as the duck?
You have to attack him early on. You know, you have to have plays in the playbook to attack that particular cornerback. Some short things, some deep things, some double moves, especially for a guy real aggressive. You know, he like to jump underneath routes. I've also seen the time when you try to go at the duck and this guy have a big time football game. One time I was in Tampa. We prepared to go against a certain cornerback, and he ended up with 3 interceptions in the game because we thought he was old and couldn't play anymore.
What do you
go ahead?
What do you think about the offense in general? I know you're saying we dink and dunk a little bit to get Trey the ball. I know we want to go vertical. Do you think it's from a play calling and design or a decision making by the quarterback?
I thought last year that we couldn't hold up long offensively up front, so we couldn't really push the ball down the field as much because you need time to be able to push the ball down the field. So I thought we did a good job of getting the ball out of our quarterback's hand and trying to get the ball into playmaker's hand in space and let them run with the football. No, you can only do as much as your scheme or your personnel allows you to do. You're not Alabama where you can play action the ball, or Texas where you can play action the ball and hold it and run deep vertical routes throughout the ball game.
Quez, I want to go back to your time at UF because I don't know if we really talked much about it with you. We've talked about it with Riedel and everything else, but what was it like? I mean, you guys had such a talented team. You guys had 3 wide receivers that played in the NFL. What was it like? I know that they're your brothers, but also, you know, in football, there's competition for the ball, and you want the ball, and you want to make plays. What was it like to be surrounded by such great talent on that team? Because you just don't see that very often, you know, especially now, but, you know, even back then where you had, you know, a starting running back in the NFL, 3 starting wide receivers in the NFL, a former starting quarterback in the NFL. What was that like in practice and then just on the sidelines?
Well, we didn't really think about it, during the time we were playing football. No, we were not like super 5-star recruits. No, we were all good high school football players, and we all were very competitive guys, but we didn't think of it like that. We didn't have all that, crazy expectations when we arrived in Gainesville. We did sign 6 receivers in our recruiting class. We knew we had 3 or 4 receivers graduating. I think it was it was Harrison Houston, Willie Jackson, and one more receiver was graduating. So we had to replace a lot of production from the year before. But we were very competitive. We always wanted to outdo each other. That was the main thing. We were very competitive. We want to always outdo each other, and we were very competitive in practice. We start one-on-ones. The first rep, it'll be Riedel will hop up there, and it'll be Fred Weary. And the second rep will probably be me and Shea Showers. The third rep will be Ike and Elijah Williams. And it was like that each and every day. They hop up, they're like, let's go. We hop up like, let's go. So it was always competitive. And you always knew, like, if you didn't do your best, that somebody could beat you out. Somebody could take your reps, or somebody could take your opportunities to catch the football, which was another thing that made you come with your A game each and every day. And also, we the things that we practice in practice, we knew we would run them in the game. You got some schools that practice vertical routes and practice all these different plays and never call them. So in Spurrier's system, we knew if we did something, if we ran something in practice, we was going to get in the game. And the person who got in the game was usually the person who ran the route the best in practice. And we always knew that. If you do a good job in practice with the route and run it the right way the coaches want you to run it, you will get that play in the game. And it probably was a touchdown. And we were unselfish. We always cared about each other and who was doing well. And if Ike had 2 touchdowns or if Ike had a touchdown and Riedel had a touchdown, we called a play. You can see on film sometimes we'll switch around and give somebody else that route just so we can get him a touchdown. And so we'll all be, if we all get touchdowns that game. We were never selfish. That's another thing that helped us out. We wasn't selfish. We cared about each other doing well, and we're real close friends to this day. And that was throughout our entire offense. We never had a bell cow running back. We always had a running back by committee. So each guy knew they had to do the job. We always had 4 or 5 receivers that we spread the football around to. So we were unselfish. We cared about each other, and we always just wanted to win.
I was listening to, I was talking with Danny Warfel and Graham Mertz. They were talking, and Danny was asking him, Graham, about kind of the offense. And Graham's telling him about like how his progression's going. Danny goes, "Oh, our progression started with the deepest route, and then we worked back down." Did you ever have a drag route and you were like, "I know Danny's not even looking at me. I'm Danny's 4th option here"?
Well, we knew, like, when we played, we was most of the time we do a lot of stuff that people do now that they think they reinvent the wheel. but was always in the mother huddle, which we always huddle right there by the football, if you ever noticed. Wide receivers, we rarely got in the huddle. We always stay on the outside because we knew the signals. Once Spurrier was signaling the play, we can look over there and see the signals ourselves. We were smart guys. Ike real smart. Riddell's real smart. I knew what was going on out there. And so, and most of our plays were we trying to attack you vertical. So the first choice would be deep to intermediate to check down. So we had a few plays where we were throwing underneath, but most of the time we always had a vertical and a short concept to our pass game.
Yeah, Graham kind of looked at Danny like, "What do you mean your first read is that 4?"
Yeah, if you're getting a certain coverage, we try and throw the ball over the top.
Yeah,
and the Spurrier was more like if the safety sits flat-footed and doesn't get depth, let it go. And our job was to be back there and take the top off the defense and create explosive plays.
Do you you're a Georgia guy? Do your Georgia peoples give you a hard time about they run right now?
Not really. They talk more now, but they never had a chance to talk. And I've been living 48 years. They never had a chance to talk for the last 4 or 5. So they've been terrible throughout my lifetime, or average. I'm not gonna say terrible. They've been average throughout my lifetime. And I grew up watching the Vince Dooley show, regularly every Saturday morning when I was growing up. But it's their time right now. They just better take advantage of it and enjoy it, because it'll be somebody else's turn in 2 or 3 years. That's just how college football goes. It goes in cycles. So when it's your turn, enjoy it. Get the most of it, because something gonna happen eventually where it's gonna go to another college football team turn.
Yeah, as long as they don't get no Uber, we'll be all right, man. They keep driving. It'll eventually come to an end.
What led you to Florida? 'Cause, I mean, recruiting now, talking to some coaches, they're like, the relationships don't even matter. It's just how many commas are in the NIL deal. What was recruiting like back then? And what was the head ball coach like recruiting? Because I know he we used to have golf season more than recruiting season for coach.
He can get him in there though. He was always in the living room to seal the deal though. That's one thing about Coach Spurrier. He let the other guys do the recruiting, but once it was time to seal the deal, Spurrier make the visit, and that usually did it for a lot of guys back then. But back in those days, I was a high school quarterback, but you can look at a person's athleticism and see what he can play in college. Everybody recruited me as a wide receiver or a cornerback. I didn't want to play defense. That kind of counts for a lot of schools. Like Georgia wanted me to play corner. Auburn wanted me to play corner. And so it kind of narrowed down to Mississippi State, I think it was. I think Maryland was running the run and shoot at the time, not like when they was throwing the ball around. And Jermaine Lewis and G. Simon, and Maryland was throwing it all around the park everywhere. And Alabama was I took a visit to Bama, and I took a visit to Florida. And the thing about it was I figured I could play at Florida without being a starter. As Alabama was more of a traditional 21 personnel team. So they only had 2 wide receivers in the field at the time. I knew at Florida, if I didn't start, I still could be the 3rd receiver or 4th receiver and still get some playing time throughout the season. So that's pretty much what sold me on Florida. We wasn't as arrogant as the kids now. We really know how good we were, and we just wanted the opportunity to play football. Now the kids, they super entitled now, and they think they should do this and do that and do that. Back then, we just wanted an opportunity. I know I did, and a lot of guys I went to college with did. We just want an opportunity to prove people that we can play and give us a chance, and we'll go from there.
Quez, I want to ask you, with that in mind, about recruiting and everything else. You're the head coach at Manatee High School down in the Sarasota area, if you're not familiar with the area. What do you talk to your kids that are being recruited now about, the opportunities that they're going to have from an NIL perspective, talking to these collectives, ultimately the opportunity to play at that next level? When players come to you or when coaches are coming to you, what's your message to them?
Well, as far as the NIL, it's like, it's for a particular player. If you're good enough for somebody to offer you money, that's you. Congratulate you. But I don't even talk about that. I talk about more so about where do you want to go? Where do you think you fit? Now, I let them know. Over the years, I've always let my guys know, who the defense coordinator is, what kind of defense they run, the guys he's coached, who the offense coordinator is, what kind of offense they run, what kind of receivers that play in his system. So you get an idea, because these kids today, they don't know nothing about no colleges. Only thing they know about is maybe like Alabama and maybe Georgia. Other than that, they don't know anything about any colleges. So I try to let them know about what's the college and who's played there and what kind of coach he is and who he's coached and stuff like that. Give them some background on the college and the team and the scheme. And because if you want a college degree, you're going to get a college degree. It doesn't matter what college you go to. If you're really into your academics and what have you, you're going to get a college degree. And I tell the guys in Bradenton right now, though, make sure you don't come home without a degree. You know, football, you can only play that so long. Make sure you get a degree, because once you get a degree, you can come home and you can do whatever you want to do. And I encourage them not to come home. Like, go visit the school, go away from college, enjoy, go around the world until you start having a family and kids and whatever. I always encourage them to enjoy the world, travel, get away from Bradenton, go see some other things in the world.
What's more important, the scheme, whether you're offense, defense, what you're going to be asked as a player, or can you see yourself living in that place for 3 to 5 years?
Well, it goes by so fast, and I tell them that. I say it's going to be like high school, man. You remember yesterday you came here, you was a freshman. Now you graduate. College is going to be the same way, man. Once you get there after 2 or 3 years, it's going to be time to graduate. So just thinking of it as high school, and they always be like, yeah, coach, you're right, man, because high school's going by fast. I'm already a senior already. So that's the main thing. And the next thing is probably the fit. You know, where do you fit? Do they want you? Don't go to a place where you're just another player. Go to a place where they want you. You hire them, they board. They got big play. Because if you hire on a team's board, they're gonna give you multiple opportunities to make mistakes. If you're not hiring their board, if you're not hiring their board, they're gonna, you make a mistake, they're gonna go on to the next guy you're recruiting or what have you. But they don't want to look bad. So if you hire on their board, they're gonna give you opportunities to make numerous mistakes, like I said earlier. So go to a place where they like you at, where they interested in you, the team that talks to you a lot during recruiting, the teams that check in with you a lot during recruiting, and you have to do the same thing. You have to show those schools that you're interested in them. Call the coach and let them know you watch them on Saturday, and text the coach, let them know that you're interested in going to their school.
What is coaching for you like? Is there anything that you got from Spurrier that's carrying over to you being the head coach now?
I think I got a little bit piece from Coach Spurrier. Overall, I think I got some things from as far as X's and O's from when I played in Tampa with Gruden. I think I got from Coach Dungeon was how to handle people. How to handle people, how to handle how you treat people like people, and how you handle other coaches. You don't have to do weird stuff like other coaches because that's the way it's always been done. At the end of the day, you all have to understand that they are people, and they want to be treated as people. Spurrier, I probably get my competitiveness from Spurrier and the fact that I want to crush everybody in our area right now. Everybody in this Sarasota, Bradenton area. Like I don't care about any of them. I want to beat them all. So I think I get that part from Spurrier. And just offensively, I think I get a lot of stuff from Gruden. I learned the West Coast offense from John Gruden, and I already learned some of it when I played in Detroit with Marty Morningwig. It's a terrific offense. I think you can run to every level of football, and as you can see right now, every team who has success in the NFL has come from that coaching tree. From Andy Reid to the Mike McDonald to the Shanahans to the McVays, all of them have West Coast offense backgrounds, and those guys right here are doing more like what I call West Coast offense on steroids. They're the young guys that are really inventing the wheel on what the West Coast offense should be.
Not a visor guy though.
Got to be a visor guy. I got to show you hair. I got decent hair, so I have to show my hair.
Yeah.
I have to show my hair. This is the hat right here. This is the hat. Just when it been raining down here, it's been storming down here, so the hat went outside. But visor guy. I heard you go ball. You wear visor too much. So I think I heard that. So
that's what happened to me, man.
Yeah, I'm a visor guy. I just wearing a hat right now, representing the F.
Already. Hey, congratulations on the PhD as well, man. You was talking about the education, but it's Dr. Jaquez Green right now as well, man. So congrats.
Appreciate it, man.
Well, Jaquez, man, we appreciate you coming on, man. Like I said, I think you're one of our favorite Gator players of all time, each of us. So it's always good to chat it up with you, and I appreciate what you do for the timeline. You always add some good jokes. You add some knowledge. You ask questions. You challenge people. So I always look forward to seeing you there, man. And
real quick, before we let him go, we haven't asked him about the opener.
You got to ask him the opener question.
Florida, Miami. We got a score prediction from Ahmad. What does Florida need to do, and how important is it to win a rivalry game like Miami to open the season?
It's important because all the casuals will get on the timeline and cry the whole day if we lose. But at the same time, I think at the end of the year, we won't even remember that game as much because it'll be so far away. and those teams will be totally different by the end of the year. But you want to beat those guys. One reason you want to beat those guys is because of recruiting. You want to you recruit the same players, so you want to be able to get those guys that you're recruiting. And the easiest way to get a player is to say that we beat them. That's how young kids think. As opposed to when we was here, we was like, okay, we want to play on the team that lost, so we can beat you this time. So I think we'll beat them. I think it'll be like a 30-34-21 game. I think the home field atmosphere that night, the first game of the year, going to be rocking. And I think we'll be a way better team than people give us credit for. I think we'll be a way better football team this year than we've been in the past.
Quez, how often do you make it up to Gainesville?
I go up to the coaching clinics. I go up to the coaching clinics each year. When I go up there, I'm usually going up there for football. Not too much. Hanging out, having fun. It's usually go up there for football. I can talk to the coaches and learn some more football.
Love it, man. Well, Jacquez, we appreciate you coming on today, my friend, and we'll chat with you again soon. But keep doing what you're doing. Congratulations on everything that you've done, and good luck to the Manatee Hurricanes this offseason or this upcoming season.
Appreciate you guys for having me on, man. Go Gators.
We appreciate you
coming. I need to get Jaquez as Mr. Two Bits. I don't think he's done it yet.
A member of the UF Hall of Fame. I think he deserves it. Who do you guys think should be 2 bits while we wait for Tate to join us? Who do you guys think the 2 bits for the Miami game should be?
2 bits for Miami game.
It's not going to happen, but it's
Make
very
it solid, bro.
He'll still be playing. Jack Caglione owned Miami baseball.
I own the right fielder of the baseball team too.
That's true. Dan for Mr. Two Bits.
No, nobody's gonna know. He's not gonna.
I would only do it if the 3 of us could do it, and certainly won't be asked. Right? Like, let's get that out of the way. Like, I'm never going to be asked. But if
they're only doing one field pass for mine, so I know
Dan is declining the offer before the offer.
Spencer's in the background saying I should do it in Jacksonville. Would love to.
Can we
look for reasons to make it there?
Let's talk some camp while we wait on. Man, what you been hearing? I know you've been writing your updates on 3. I've been reading every message board that I can, or not actually on the message boards. Shout out to the boys that are sending me screenshots, man.
Unbelievable.
Y'all boys do the Lord's work, man. I appreciate it. But
it be your own people.
It does be your own people, bro.
Sometimes even with my login, who knows?
We had the injury to Montreal, which is week to week, they say. But overall, outside of the Montreal injury, what have you been feeling about the camp so far?
Yeah, I think to me the biggest thing was Billy had never fired an assistant coach in 6 years of being a head coach. He took pride in that. They always take stock. He makes every coach take stock of what they did throughout the year and report. He does that as well. Within 36 hours of the season ending, 2 heads rolled, both on the defensive side of the ball. And as much as we complain about what Billy's offense looks like, and honestly, I think if you watch Michigan last year, their national championship run, I think that's what Billy wants the offense to be. That's not exciting to Florida fans who remember Jacquez, Rydell, and Ike running 50 yards down the field, but I think that's what Billy wants. The offense wasn't the issue. The offense didn't give up 700 yards to Jaden Daniels in Baton Rouge. It
wasn't the issue, but it was not.
It's not exciting, but they gave up 38.5 points a game on average over the last 5 games during that losing streak. You got to score 40 to win a football game. You shouldn't have to score 40 to win a football game. I love the changes they made on defense. I love Will Harris. I think Ron Roberts has brought energy. And then also the veteran players. I think they have taken care of the tackling issue.
Let's not forget Gerald Chapman looks like a deranged lunatic out there.
Yeah, he sounds like one too. But that's, listen,
I like
coach offense and defensive line, that's the kind of energy you need to have.
Yeah.
No pleases and thank yous in your face. I think this is Florida's best roster. That might not equate to more wins, but, I was on a show today on the radio and someone asked me, what's the number that Billy has to get to? And I said, I don't think there's a number. I think there's a scenario, real world scenario, where 6-6 feels better than 7-5. Because if 7-5 is you go to Jacksonville and lose by 20 again, you go to Knoxville and get crushed by Tennessee on the road because you haven't played well on the road, you get blown out by by Texas. If you have 5 losses, but they look the same as they have the last 2 years versus 6-6, but you compete with Georgia. You go toe-to-toe with Texas on the road. Maybe you steal a win in Tennessee. I think there's a real-world situation where 6-6 feels better than 7-5. And by the way, neither of those records would get you to 500 if you're Billy Napier.
Yeah, there's no such world for me, man. 6 wins is gonna feel like 6 wins. What is your receiving core? I put out a tweet this week.
Okay.
Give me your starting 3 receivers and 11 personnel. What do you have? How you have that plan out right now? I know Billy like to play like the senior, so like Khalil Jackson may be one of the starters, but what's your feel for it?
Yeah, but I think Khalil is getting better. We have to remember he was a quarterback, so he's new. He was new to the position, and now you're being asked a bunch of different things to do, and it's a gigantic playbook compared to what you were running as a quarterback in high school. So I think if the game were tomorrow, your starting 3 is Chim, Khalil, and Eugene Wilson. Andy Jean's having a really good camp. He's healthy. I like what I'm hearing about him.
Looking
A.
good.
Mizell's having a really good camp. I think you're 5 deep with those starting 3 and then those 2 young guys. Elijah Badger makes you 6 deep. It'll be interesting to see.
Burke's having a good camp.
Yeah. So I think you have a starting 3. Chim, in my mind, Shamiri Dike has set 5 speed records, personal records, since he's been on campus. So the player I thought they were getting this, 3rd down and 8, run to the sticks, and we'll get you the ball just to move the chains. Like, he's not just a possession receiver from what I'm hearing from camp. So I think
Tate, what it do, baby?
Chim Dike came to Gainesville as fast as Tate Casey, and now he's running like an actual receiver.
What about all that?
But yeah, I think Florida's gotten a lot deeper. It's going to come down to the offensive line, though. I think so. We'll get back to camp talk after Tate. That's a great man cave.
Yeah, Tate Casey is just a fantastic name.
Took some work. How we doing, boys?
What's up, brother? Good to see you.
Ready to lie a little bit. Playoff talk.
We ready for this?
Tate, you're around the program a bit. Talk to us a little bit about what you're hearing, what you're seeing, what you want to see. Give us your outlook, brother.
I'll give you what I want to see. I want to see, man. I'll tell you one thing I got to see this year's defense. As bad as we've had it since 2019, I think it's one of those years that I got to turn around and wake up in August and say, okay, Florida football's back. Because defense is one of those things that has always been the glue that's held this program by championships and stuff like that. And as good as offenses have been, and there's been some amazing offenses in this history of the program, but defense is the one thing since, man, even the 80s, 90s that we've seen that's just – it's a staple. And, since 2018, I don't think we've seen a Florida defense that really has that same punch to it. So that's really the one thing I've got to see this year. And there's a lot of unknowns, but there's also a lot of really good things to look forward to.
It looks like they're playing flag football.
Yeah. It starts up front. I think getting Justice Boone back is going to be a great lift. He's wearing number 1, sounding good and whenever he's put in front of a mic, but the lack of pass rush was definitely the worst pass rush I ever remember seeing as a Gator. Prince's Umanili just wasn't coming through. We brought some guys in the portal, but it's going to start up front. Do like that we brought in some veteran guys like Asa Martin. I'm sorry, I'm saying the wrong last name.
Asa
Turner. Wrong guy. Asa Turner coming in.
Made a whole person up.
Yeah. No, that's actually a person, a running back from whatever. I think we sure things up on the back end. We're getting some veteran leadership because we got some young talent, but we was lacking some older guys to be able to lead that room. So I'm with you as well. The defense got to get better, but it's going to start up front on both sides of the ball. We got to get better in the trenches.
Well, I think, and that's the point, is the mindset has got to change, right? I think defense, especially front seven, has got to be a mindset, and you got to have some dogs up front. I think you at least bring in Joey Slackman's one that I don't know much about him, but from the outside looking in and what you hear about him in the weight room and certain things, it's like that's the kind of guy that you want up front helping to lead that crew. You get Kelby Collins back. You get a lot of guys out there on the edge that can run, some strong guys inside. And then you look at the linebacker position. I think that Florida's going to be a lot more surprising at linebacker this year, more consistent across the board than what we've seen in the last few years. I know that we've had Ventrell Miller that's had to lead the charge at a linebacker position a couple times. You see guys like Scooby and guys like that, but it's always been one here or there instead of just across the board at linebacker. I think this year we're going to be complete in a lot of ways.
Well, 3 of the top missed tacklers from last year's team, I think 2 of them are on Texas A&M's roster now.
Very good.
Jay Bateman to College Station. But I want to ask you this. So one of the guys I work with, J.D. Bickel, asked Graham Mertz, who's the most football guy in the locker room. He mentioned Joey Slackman, who was 6 a.m. Friday lift, face black, Gatorade towel around his head, chewing, smelling salts on the way into the gym. Who was the football guy in your locker room?
Tim Tebow. I mean, it's funny as it sounds, like you couldn't pull that guy away from weight room situations and competitive situations, which is, like I said, you need that. It's a mindset, right? Like those kind of guys are what makes those teams better and those teams so great. And when you look at the response from guys around him, it's what it does to everybody else. And so love the fact that he's a veteran, and I love the fact that he's played at high level in the conference he came from. And I mean, we've seen a lot of this where you get these guys in the portal and people will say, well, they didn't come from a D1 program or a huge Power 5 program. But, to me, those are the ones you love the most. Right? They're proving themselves. It's almost like they took a step in the minor leagues to get to a Power 5 program because maybe they didn't get recruited or they've got a chip on their shoulder. And, if you had a couple examples over the years, I'm sure there's plenty of them, but there's guys out there that they've got a big chip on their shoulder that are willing to come prove themselves at a place like Florida, finally getting that shot. And I think, we saw that with Napier. He brought, Montrell and the offensive lineman a couple of years ago, who's now, a first-round draft pick. So it's very hard to sit here and say, like, oh, well, he didn't play at a Power 5. Listen, I don't care at this point. We got to have the dog mentality, and we got to get back on defense the way we used to be.
He got it out the mud in his Ivy League seersucker suit.
There you go.
What do you think about Arliss Bordenham and also the tight end usage in the offense?
Listen, tight end usage is always lacking. We need more of it. I need like 15, 20 passes a game. So Billy's tuned in right now, whatever. Yeah. We've got some young guys that can move. We got some guys that can do some things. I think we got, if I'm not mistaken, we got Zip back this year. Is that
kind of? I think he's got to knock some rust off.
Yeah. He's not the same player he was after his knee injury. It wasn't just an ACL, like
that's fair.
Blown up knee.
That's just fair. I don't need Zip catching 5 balls a game either, right? I mean, having veteran presence in the room sometimes and having a able blocker, especially in the SEC, you're never going to go bad with a bigger body on the edge in those heavier tight end packages. So, we've got some guys that can play and run. You still got some guys that are lankier, Boardinghams of the world that a little bit lean and can get out there. But with our wide receiver room this year, I think having a capable tight end somewhere up the field in the middle of the field is going to pay dividends.
Well, Tate, did you play receiver in high school?
No, played on the ball tight end. I played a lot of slot, played a lot of out. I mean, I was kind of all over, which really helped the transition to college because you're out in space, linebackers and safety. So, I think having guys like that, though, whether you're throwing to them or not, I think being able to stretch the field, especially these longer bodies and taller guys that can move, it'll do wonders for taking the top off of a defense. And I think it only helps, especially when you're talking about the RPO game and having, tight ends that can maneuver.
I was asking that because Arliss was a track guy and a receiver. Hayden Hansen was a quarterback. Just what was what is that transition like? And I was trying to see were you also moving a position? But these guys are not only learning the speed of the college game, but learning an entirely new position. And now you're looking at guys who are redshirt sophomores going into year 3. And what kind of jump can we expect from them? Because we know they're talented, but what kind of jump can we expect from them?
Well, look, I mean, if I wasn't technically a receiver in high school, I did play a lot of slot, but I was about 200 pounds soaking wet coming into Florida, being asked to block on Marcus Spears of the world and
thank you.
David Pollocks of the world freshman year. So I think what it boils down to is this, and this is another thing in my opinion that's really got to change with Florida football, and it's the mindset. When you step on campus, if you get in the field that freshman year, the sophomore year, there's not a chain of events that has to happen. And really, it's all boils down to what you're putting into it. And I tell a lot of guys before that I've seen that had a chance to go play, college ball. Like that first year should be the most fun year of your life, right? You the first time you've got an excuse that you're a young guy, and that only lasts for so long, but you've really got a chance to like and get in with a locker room full of guys that are veterans that'll accept you if you put your work in. And I think that we've got to find some guys that are willing to like push the needle on some of these veterans. It's not only is that possibly going to win them a job, it's going to make everybody around them better. And the sooner we figure out that the bar gets set and everybody else lives up to it, like we're going to have a lot of good things to talk about.
I like that talk. Mercer's our bona fide starter. No doubt in my mind. I do think the RPO system works a little bit better when you have a threat for the quarterback to run. Being a guy that was there with Tebow, watching him play early that freshman year, how do you think they should, or how do you think they intertwine DJ Lagway into this first year?
And shout out to Texas.
Yeah,
great athletes.
Excited about seeing what we do, have as far as package for Lagway. I mean, I don't think you can walk into this year and just say Graham Mertz is not your guy. I mean, for what he's able to do last year, I think you give us any semblance of a defense in the last 3-4 years, there's a lot better looking scorecards than what we've seen. Graham Mertz walking into last year, I thought all he had to do was exactly what he did, and that was be a field manager, like a general, make sure that your guys are where they need to be, make sure you're not making mistakes that are hurting us as a team. And, really, I think last year boiled down to offensive line play more than anything on that side of the ball. There's some good receivers. I think we still have some guys that perform from a receiver standpoint, but when you look at some of the bright spots there, I mean, I think Frazier's did a little bit better. I think you had Pearsall that really held his weight. I mean, we all know what he's worth, but then you look at Wilson, it almost makes you really excited to see what comes this year. If he's been doing everything you hope he's doing in the offseason. I think you got a game-changing type player. I don't dare say Percy Harvin just yet, but I mean, I think he's probably one of the first since Percy to like almost look at and go, okay, this guy's going to be a serious problem for the rest of the conference. And I think he put him on notice, his freshman year.
You must have been listening to the show earlier because we had Urban on. Starting to sound like Urban dropping the next Percy Harvin on us there.
That's a tough one, man. Every time I hear it, but Andre DeBose, we've heard them all in the last, what has it been now? Almost 20 years.
Now, Eugene is twitched up like him, man. I also think he could be possibly be a better route runner. Percy was just an athletic freak.
Listen, I would love to sit here and at the end of his career say, absolutely, we're going to put him in that class. I'd love nothing more.
You sit tight, bro. Sit tight.
I know. And I would say what? Watching him live, and you mentioned route running. I love watching good route running. I mean, we've had some decent route runners in the last 10 years, and I think that when you go back to like Freddie Swain and those guys, when they were really dialing into the off-season program and their route and stuff, and I think Twitter was a lot of dancing jokes and making fun of. But when you watch them in action that season, I think it was the first time that I was like, man, we've actually got some really, really solid receivers if we could ever put it together. And then, of course, we saw it with Trask and Fitz and the guys in KT. I think you've got the potential to see some guys that are very similar in terms of how good they can make plays and win games.
How important was it to get other guys? Because I remember that 2020 season when Pitts gets that concussion against Georgia, it became a lot easier to stop KT. You start moving people over. How important was it to get? Because before the spring, before that portal season, I was like, I'm having a linebacker chip, 170-pound slot receiver at the line. I'm shading a safety over. Someone else is beating me. And I think now Florida has guys that you can't only focus on Eugene Wilson.
Yeah, I think, you when you're in a down spot with personnel, you got to get creative. And I think that's where you start seeing a lot of hocus-pocus type offense to offset some of your like glaring weaknesses. And so when you look at Florida, I think we've been fairly competitive at the tight end spot. Since Pitts, I think we've had a little bit of fall off, but that's obvious for what you're going to have after Kyle Pitts leaves. Wide receiver in that season, you had KT and a couple of guys, but I think this is one of those offenses when you look at the potential, and I say potential really, really lightly because it's everything you've never done, right? Like when we look at what should have happened from last year to this year, and I look at guys, and I think I've said it over the last few off seasons, we've had guys that have had the chance to be, if they would have done everything they needed to do in the offseason, they would have had chances to be all SEC caliber players. And it hasn't really happened a lot. And we've had some really, really high potential players. I think this might be one of those seasons that you possibly turn the corner in that regard. And I really hope that guys like Khalil Jackson and some of these guys are household names right now did everything they possibly could have done after December, Christmas last year, from then till now. So I guess it remains to be seen just what we see once they take the field and the bullets start flying.
Mm-hmm.
Tate, I want to switch it up a little bit. You've been an IMG radio sideline guy for what about? Is this going to be your 5th year, 6th year?
Man, what year is this? When was Mullins' first year?
17, 18?
Oh no, 17 was the credit card scandal.
Yeah. So
shark
18.
incident. 18 was Dan's first year.
2018.
So
Nick know everything about negativity. So
no, 17 was just a disaster. It's literally the week of fall camp. 7 guys are under investigation for federal.
He knew it so
charges.
quick though. You see how fast he knew that? That's crazy. That's
Entire year.
uncanny, man.
I'm pretty sure he's got the.
I've never had a coach.
Right behind his computer right now.
Yeah, you hung your jersey. Nick hung his article about the credit card scandal.
Yeah.
I can see
every
it.
once in a while when we're on the Florida doesn't let us down the field, but every once in a while when we're on the road, or every time we're on the road, I get down there and I give Tate a little good game butt pat, and he looked at me, I think at Missouri after the 4th and 17, and it was just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
We're not allowed to talk about what I say on the sideline.
No. This is all off the record.
No. If they ever had me mic'd up and ran
Tate's making sure that his
on,
microphone's off for some of these things. Don't need a hot mic.
That's for damn sure.
Tate, what's that experience been like? What keeps you excited, motivated, keep doing it? What are some cool memories you have from that experience? Because I think when we chatted with you the first time, maybe it was like year 1 of you doing that, year 2 of you doing that. What's that experience been like for you?
Well, it was great. Then we were 10-2. I mean,
a little better.
We were having some drinks and laughing it up and thinking we were about to roll on top. But we've had some fun years. I'll say this: it keeps me excited because I was being in tune with the program, wanting to see the Gators do well. I think being an alum, there's a lot there that just you want to see these guys and you want to see success for them. And I always say it, but Urban said it best when we were there. How terrible would it be if you go 4 years and leave the University of Florida and not win anything? And man, that hits me a lot when I look at guys that have put a ton of effort in, a ton of work in, they get to where they're at, and then you walk out 4 or 5 years later without hardware. And that's something that when I look back, as much as everything we put into it, if that would have happened to us, I don't know, it'd be tough to stomach. And I don't know if guys think about it the way we think about it, or we were kind of trained to think about it. But I really want to see these guys do well. I think we've got some really talented guys. I think the coolest part for me though is getting to learn each new year of players, and being fortunate enough to interview the Kyle Trask, Kyle Pitts, and certain players over the years. That kind of stuff has been fun. MC and the Mackey Award, a couple of years ago was probably the highlight in the 7 years so far, just because that was a cool honor for me, and to give it to a Gator made it even sweeter. So I think that's pretty cool, but I'm hoping that the best years are yet to come.
Has there been an interview or a moment with a player that's been special for you? Obviously you mentioned Kyle Pitts being a tight end, being able to hand that award, but has there been a moment, maybe even after a game, you as a former player, what the emotions are, what getting a win is, or even talking to a guy after a loss, an interview that sticks out to you?
And we've had some good that LSU game in 18 at home was a pretty awesome moment. There was a lot with that game, a lot of hype around. I think that rival holds a lot of special places in my heart, just because of memories of my time against LSU, and I kind of feel that rival developed from 03 on, even though it's been around for a while. I think it's almost taken place of the Tennessee game for us. And as bad as that sounds, Tennessee's going to probably come back full circle, but it just adds another one to the belt that we've got to go after each year. as far as like interviews, I've had some really good ones, man. Pierce was always an amazing interview post game. He was one of those guys that I could, win or lose, he's gonna give you everything, and he's not gonna, hold back or be emotional about it in a way that's like, I'm not doing that. And it's always fun to talk to. And there's guys that'll give it to you raw. We didn't do what we needed to do. I think Graham Mertz is a prime example of that. I feel like Kyle Trask was always a prime example of that. Felipe Franks. We've had a couple that have been really good in the face of defeat. But, I think it's just the approach that they take. And, Coach Napier's done a good job. But you tell the kind of players he's creating just based on conversations you have with a post game.
I love it.
Man,
go ahead.
Hold on. One last question.
Yeah.
We got a gauntlet of a schedule. This is a very important year for, Napier and this regime where we at with this turnaround. What if you're Napier, what would be your approach to the team dealing with this gauntlet? I know everybody's saying take it one game at a time. That's coach speech, but how would you be approaching the season if you were the head coach?
Man, I'd be running through a wall with them. I think that it's so easy to look at the schedule and feed into all the hype in the media around how hard it is, and yeah, it's absolutely a tough schedule. But I think when you look at it from a coach's perspective, you've got to get your guys ready to play. And that schedule ain't going to change. And the one thing I look at is you don't even know how hard that schedule is right now. With everything changing in college football, between the portal and NIL, you've got guys that were leaving as starters last year. Apologize, guys. Leaving as starters last year on their program. And so I don't think we truly know how great these teams are yet. I mean, does it say, okay, we got to get prepared? Yeah, but if I'm Billy Napier, I'm challenging my team. You got to find some way to put a chip on your shoulder and go out and carry the torch. And right now we've got a couple of really tough road games. We've got a lot of really tough home games, which luckily for us, we play in one of the greatest home field environments in college football. So if you take it as the opportunity, and I know Billy talks a lot about opportunity, if these guys approach it that way, I think it can be a really rewarding season. I think I'm not a side of thought that 8 wins, 9 wins is a real potential this year if you show up and actually approach the season the right way.
You were a freshman in 2004, so
Yeah.
you got a taste of that Florida-Miami game. I guess it wasn't – I mean, that was the Peach Bowl?
I was in the bowl. I was in the bowl game.
Bowl game?
I was Charlie Strong's first head coaching gig because they got tired.
Yeah. What is that? And I mean, it's probably different being a bowl game, but just a rivalry game. I know Urban took those rivalry games very seriously and made that a point. Just what was your experience? Obviously, the game didn't go the way you wanted to. It's a bowl game, but what is that? What are those rivalry games? What do they mean to the program and to the players?
Well, we had them, we had them in 2008 too. So I got a second taste of that in 2008. When you talk about 2004, the one thing that was different was, like you mentioned, Urban was you're going to educate yourself on rivals real quick in an Urban Meyer locker room. And that was something where we would have guys, Brett Culpepper and James Tate and all these former players would come in and they would talk about a specific rival. And, helmet decals in the toilets on rivalry week, and you're blasting rivalry music in the speaker. I think it's the reason I've got a Georgia helmet decal in my office toilet right now.
I love it. I gotta do that shit in my bathroom. See how the white feels about it.
Brett Hayes, you roll out for those guys, and Miami's no different. I know that's an in-state rival, and you got a bunch of teammates that played against guys in high school, and there's a lot there. And for me, I had to learn that because I didn't play against anybody really. Not in the SEC, but rivals like Florida State, Tennessee, Georgia, Miami. None of my high school guys that I played against in high school win any of those schools, maybe except for a few. And so it was a little bit different, but you definitely learn about it, and there's a lot there. So, hopefully these guys are putting as much effort into that mindset going into it, because I know there's no love lost between Miami and Florida.
Apologies. I forgot that you got that get right game back in 2008. We were just talking to Ahmad about that 2008 game.
That's about the only time you're excited to get hurt. You get a comeback for 2008.
That was a blessed injury. Yeah.
Got a couple more rings in the jewelry box because of that.
Hell yeah.
I thought you were reaching for the ring, like you were just about to slide the ring on.
No, I don't keep those things there. Mama's got
Good.
those.
Don't say that on the internet either. People will find your address. They'll come and get those rings.
There's nothing here, bro.
Man, Tate, man, we appreciate you coming on kind of last minute and working around the schedule a little bit as well. You've always been one of the big supporters of this program. Episode 300. I know we had you on relatively early on. I know we've had you on a couple times since then, man. But we really appreciate your support, man. I know that you're kicking ass everywhere. You got a great family, got a great job. You got the IMG job, and you're still mid-handicap golfer. So just pretty incredible to be able to do all of that stuff. I'm not balancing nearly as much and still trying to break 80.
Yeah, you know what that means? It just means that I'm actually working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'll get to golf eventually, I swear, but I don't mind hanging around that 13 handicap when member guest rolls around either. It's a nice.
I'll tell you what, man. As long as it's a legit 13, I've seen some people lying on some of these things. I know you're not. So
no, there's plenty of good, bad, and ugly. I can promise you that.
I have one more for you, Tate. You're a girl dad. I got my first coming in September. A piece of advice for a first-time dad, first-time girl dad.
Whew.
That's not a good start.
It's your first, so I think in that regard you're really lucky. Because if you ever have another, she'll be mature enough to handle the elder sister roles. So, but man, get her one of those like little plastic golf sets. Because right now the coolest thing I've got going for me is like going home, after work one day and my daughter wants to play 9 holes, and it's like, go ask your mom. Because I'm 100%. My bag stays in my truck. So go ask your mom if she's good. We're out of here. We'll go grab dinner on the way back. But if that happens, man, make it fun. I'm fortunate enough that mine is a really good golfer and she really likes it. So it's one of those things that we enjoy doing together. And obviously in the fall, my job becomes a hell of a lot harder between balancing my week and my weekends. And I know I see you guys on site every weekend, but it's out Friday nights, it's back on Sundays, and there's really a lot of small window there to kind of balance that time. So I'm trying to get every bit I can in before we leave.
We'll find a steakhouse in Austin. I don't know if they have a Halls.
Oh, they will.
They have a Halls in Austin?
I don't know about Halls, but I can promise you right now, we'll skip Rock Steakhouse. I can guarantee you that.
In the plant-based steakhouses out there.
Stop it.
No,
Stop.
but we'll find you.
Don't.
Listen, we got green beans and collard greens and everything else.
Yeah, there you go. So
right.
Can I have 2 sides of asparagus, please, for my entree?
Yeah. Let me get a medium rare asparagus.
For you.
Yeah.
Man, Tate, we appreciate you coming on, brother. We'll talk to you soon, man. Best of luck with the upcoming season as well.
All right, fellas, sounds
Tate,
good. Congrats on episode 300.
Appreciate you, Tate.
All right, boys.
Shout out to Matt Ragland.
Shout out to Matt Ragland.
Matt, what it do, man?
Brother.
He's a YouTube goat. Congrats on 300. The most fun I have on a Gator pod. Appreciate Matt for his support. He's given us some advice in the back channels as well. So appreciate Matt for that super chat. Guys, we're at 2 hours and 21 minutes. I know we left off on some practice notes and news. They are going in pads, full pads. Next practice, Nick?
They've done they've done 4 practices.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they practiced tonight. Campus is closed. I'm pretty sure they still practice tonight, but they canceled our viewing period and stuff because campus is closed. So today would have been first day in full pads, but we will be out there tomorrow, Tuesday, August 6th, for another day of fall camp.
Yeah, and certainly thoughts and prayers to those that are have been affected or could potentially be affected by I think it's now a tropical storm again. I know it's going to be a real soaker for those. I know that there's some issues in Steinhatchee, which is close to me and my family, and I know our connection to Steinhatchee. I know Live Oak got the brunt of it. So stay safe for those of you that are in the path of the hurricane and the tropical storm. And certainly I know that it's planning on hanging out over by Georgia and South Carolina. So definitely think about you guys as well. I know the Gators got a few commitments. Are you guys cool if we just talk about that next week?
We can do a pop-up show, man. I got to talk some practice and some shenanigans, man. My DB room sound lit. I appreciate you, Justin. All-Star Roofing, man, in the building. Hey, my DB room sound lit, bro. So if y'all want to do a pop-up later this week, but we got to talk some camp, man.
Yeah, no, I'd be more
we'll
than
figure
happy
it out
to.
behind the scenes.
We'll have a couple more updates in there. I know the Gators got a commit from a JUCO that's currently on campus, right? I think they announced his commitment. Yeah. I mean, he's a grown man, literally on campus. Yeah, he was literally in practice. By the time the picture hit send. But yeah, let's figure out a pop-up show if we can do it this week. I know I got some availability to do that as well. So, man, what an awesome run 300 has been. We've got another many more to come over the next number of years. So we appreciate everybody for watching, tuning in, for supporting us, supporting our sponsors, including Alumni Hall. Go check out Alumni Hall.com or go visit them in Gainesville as well. But for Brunt Insurance, appreciate him for coming back and supporting this show. Homefield Apparel, Gametime, Sidekicks, Alumni Hall, they've all been supporters. They allow us to do this show each and every week, and we appreciate each one of you guys for joining each week and sharing it with your friends. Any final thoughts, boys?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I think it's we're just three friends talking ball. And I think we try to keep that authentic, and we hope that comes along. But yeah, we appreciate you guys showing up. If we were doing this to three people, I don't know if it would have made it 300 episodes.
No.
So appreciate you guys for tuning in. Like Dan said, supporting our sponsors, supporting us, and letting us talk ball.
Already, we got some solid fans, man. Even the people that disagree with us, they still come back and rock with us. It's okay to disagree with what we talk about sometimes. Some people hate our intro, they fast forward through it. We appreciate absolutely every fan, man. Yeah. DK in the comments, congrats on 300. We appreciate all of y'all, man. Hey, the tailgate 831, pull up and support it, man. We hanging out big. Should be plenty of guests. Channing Crowder's pulling up, Ahmad Black's pulling up, Zach Carter, Kevin Taylor, Jordan Scarlett, Deontay Thompson. We got some guys pulling up. There's gonna be some Miami guys, but they're not relevant to this show. But come pull up, hang out with us. We're a 9-minute walk from the stadium. Spurrier beer. Everybody get a Spurrier beer on the walk-in. Shout out to Dan for linking that up for me, man. But we got some vibes pulling up, man.
Yeah, First Magnitude Brewery is providing that. I would be remiss if I did not also mention a couple people kind of behind the scenes that have been helping us as well. Wes Chamberlain helps us with our social media posting. Super producer Cam has been around since the very, very beginning. Spencer has helped with some design work and some social media work and cutting some stuff up for us. We appreciate everybody, and this is a labor of love. None of us are retiring because of this podcast, or are really that much further closer to retirement because of it. But we do it because it's fun. We do it for the fans. We do it because I think we like each other. We all come from different backgrounds, different experiences, and the fact that we've been able to do this, the three of us together, and keep it going, right? Because sometimes there's disagreements, or sometimes you would do one thing a certain way and somebody else would do it a different way. But thinking about the bigger picture of what we're trying to accomplish makes this really cool. And Corey, I'll never forget that text message when you said, "Hey, you want to chat about it?" I certainly wouldn't have thought 300 episodes later we'd still be doing it. So,
man, I thought we would, bro. Just not to extend this a little bit longer, whatever. But I have great personal relationships with both of you guys, man. Before we ever potted together, I hung out with you. I hung out with Nick. And before we even potted together, and I was just doing roll-up, you guys helped me in whatever fashion. If I had live shows, Dan would pull up. Nick would come on shows, or just giving love and just support. Just, hey, man, I like what you're doing. So just a lot of people around Gator football, from Zach Aberverde as well, man. One of those guys that always been in my corner to support whatever we're doing. But I absolutely thought that this would last a long time. I don't think we really had no clashes on this show behind the scenes, to be honest with you. I don't think there's been no fights, no arguments. It all flows like water, man. So this is an easy podcast to do. The audience is easy. The games ain't easy all the time. You feel me? It's been a up and down, but we're gonna make it fun regardless. That's what we do. We come. Our space in the algorithm is to make it enjoyable, whether we losing or winning. We're gonna bring good commentary, good perspective, good takes and whatnot, and give our spin to it, man. But all positivity.
Yeah, and I think what's really cool is, I mean, for the first couple of years, everything that we did was so focused around interviews, right? And we gave our opinion and everything else. And over the last couple of years, we've really moved away from as many interviews, right? Sometimes it's because we've exhausted a pretty long list of people, but to be able to have the show and carry on the way that we do has been a lot of fun. But we do have some exciting guests coming up in the near future. There's a very wanted guest from 247 that people have asked for. We're working on the details for that. We're still going to get back in next week to covering the games that are upcoming on the schedule, but we're going to still find people to bring on this show. If you guys know anybody that you want to bring on this show, tagging them, connecting us, if you know, that helps too. We want to interview people that you want. And what we found through the show, it's not always just the biggest name that provides the best interview. Sometimes it's the unique experience. It's the unique perspective that they bring to the table as well. So if you guys have any ideas, feel free to share those with us.
100%. And we definitely get somebody named that rhymes with powder, man, before the season gets going a little bit, man. We try to do the week of Miami, but y'all stay on the lookout, man. Fresh interviews, fresh content. 300. All
right, guys. Well, we'll see you for episode 301 next time.
Wait, hold on. I don't know if super producer Cam's still doing it, but it's my song of the week.
Yeah. So I'm going to try to figure it out, but we are going to attach it to the YouTube feed at the bottom for anybody. So Nick, what do we got?
First off, go stream the entire album. My guy Zach Alberverdi's new album. Go stream the whole thing. But he clipped me from a podcast talking about Zach having bars. So I'm going first song on the EP, Royal Flush by Zachariah. Go stream True Colors.
Fire.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you guys at the same corner, same time next week. And we appreciate you guys for hanging out.